Well, wouldn't you know, we made it for a third month. But hopefully right now you're elated. You're over the fucking moon because you're looking at that fucking goddamn bar in the bottom, at the bottom of the screen here, and it says 3 hours or maybe 4 hours at the most, because we are making a conceited effort to shorten digest. We're trying to get it fucking last month. Jesus fucking Christ. It was 8 hours or something. Monstrous export. Too much time. Then it got claimed again immediately. So we made no money from that shit. That's why visually this episode will also be different. We got a lot of things to talk about in the intro. Expect another 10-minute intro, but going through the video should be a lot quicker. And obviously you can skip the intro if you don't give a fuck. I wouldn't blame you. But on the screen, it'll just have like the little slip instead of like the slip and then the video playing underneath. It takes too long to get all those videos. Like I have to download 20 videos, then edit them in, then put the effects on. It's not very hard work, but it is a lot of fucking grunt work. That takes like 2 whole days out of like my month where I could be working on scripted videos or something, because the scripted video output since Digest has started is fucking plummeted, and we can't be having that. So yes, visually it'll have to look different. I have to get something out of these fucking videos, especially when they're this long. Like, I'm pretty sure I'd make decent ad revenue off of them instead of just getting fucking claimed and literally getting absolutely nothing but like 300 views out of it. So that's what we're going to do. Also, it should be shorter, so that'll be better as well. So no videos on screen, it'll be shorter. Those are the first things we are going over. Also, structurally, we're starting to fuck with things here. We have more of an emphasis on current videos now, and I should have known it would turn out this way. So I feel like most of the videos this month are October videos, or when I'm talking about like a series of videos, when the most recent one came out in October. I'm sure you can scroll through and see some examples, like when I talk about the Mother's Basement One Piece video later, I also talk about the first one in there. So one of them came out this month, one of them came out back in February. I'm going to talk about them both in the October section. There is a catch-up section. It's a lot shorter. Originally the conceit was going to be different than normal AniTube Digest. Would be to have both old and new videos, so it wasn't just stringent on this month's stuff. I think we should make a habit out of this. This concept we stole from Shaybs. You can go over to Shaybs' channel. It's literally that easy. You can spell it. We'll go over his Caribou-Kun video at the very beginning here. But go over there, check that shit out. He does this better and more concise about strictly anime. We do it about all sorts of things. So if you're interested in that, go over there and check that out. But now we've sort of become more sort of that formula where he only does, well, not really. I still haven't caught up on Digest at all. I think I'm still in the same episode I was this time last month when I was talking about it. But he started in even the older ones where I'm catching up on. He started doing older videos, like one old video a week or whatever. But the catch-up series, now I want it to function as sort of like a promise that, because who's in catch-up right now? I actually don't have it in front of me because I only got the videos I'm going to talk about in this recording session in front of me. But we have Joseph Montecillo stuff is going to be in the catch-up section, but we've already caught up on most of his videos. So there's a Craftsdwarf, one of his more recent One Piece videos, his Navy Admiral one. I think it's just Navy one. I was originally going to watch all of his One Piece videos for this digest. But instead, I started watching other things and everything got behind and whatever the fuck, you know how bad we are at scheduling things. So it being in catch-up this month is sort of a promise that by next month I'll have watched all of the One Piece videos. Maybe you'll even come up with a new One Piece video next month, and therefore we could tie it all in and say I watched all these One Piece videos from Craftsdwarf. We can talk about them all generally while we talk about the new one. Or even if I just watch all of the old ones and put him back in catch-up, it'll just sort of be the people I put in catch-up I want to be people that we sort of either I'll say that this is probably I don't want to watch any more of this person's videos, or it'll be an effort to catch up so when they release new ones they can then be in the October section. So it's not going to be like Last month we did a Hypocrite video, and I think we did some Endless Jest videos. Endless Jest came out with new videos that will be on next month's digest. Very excited. I also have a rule where I'm not going to watch any November videos while I'm recording this, since I'm recording this on November 3rd, until I get this fucking October version up. So I'm killing myself over here, not being able to watch new Endless Jest content. But we can't. But we covered some of their old videos last time. Things like that, like classic videos. Either I'll make that a separate section if I really want to talk about some classic videos. But outside of that, I don't want to put them in catch-up anymore, because we're not really catching up, really. We're just watching old videos and talking about what's good about them. Whereas I like this sort of being what Shaybs made his into, which is just like a snapshot in time of the analysis videos that came out that week. We'll do it monthly and just not about anime. So I still think it's different enough. We have different enough approaches and things. I still don't think we're treading on heels too much. Another thing we got to talk about in the intro is changing the name. Now, the meme of the name is like double layered, and I don't know if most people even get it. It's supposed to be a reference to Shaybs' AniTube Digest. But I was so stupid, I thought it was called Anime Digest. So when I titled my video, "This is not Anime Digest," it was a fuck up as well as a reference. And therefore it's sort of funny, and it sort of worked out, because now we're not encroaching on AniTube Digest. If you search for AniTube Digest, I don't put that in my tags. You'll go to Shaybs stuff. And if you put Anime Digest, you'd probably end up on our stuff. So it sort of worked out in the end. But that name being a reference doesn't really tell people who don't know the reference what this video is. So I feel like we should probably change the name, though I'm just not sure what to change it to. We could simply just call it YouTube Digest or YouTube Analysis Digest, and keep the digest thing as a reference back to Shaybs. We could change it entirely, I'm not sure, but the name is going to get changed. I'll think about it more. This will be the last one called "This is not Anime Digest," especially as it's starting to become more centered on the month in which it's set, because originally this digest was to help me get back caught up on YouTube analysis videos, and now I have. So now I have a bunch of things I'm caught up on, a bunch of creators I'm caught up on who are releasing new videos. Like the beginning of the month has been insane. There's a new Nerdwriter video, there's a Jack Saint fucking Space Jam video and things like that. Like, these are all people I'm caught up on, and I can just put them in October now. I don't have to go through the backlog now, because I already did that. So that's sort of the crisis of identity, the identity crisis we're having here with this video series. It's still talking about videos. We're doing it a little differently. Another way we're doing it differently is I'm going to go through, like, by creator. So if a creator has multiple videos, I'm going to put them all in one, just like the Mother's Basement One Piece example. I'm not going to put one Piece video in the October thing and then one in the catch-up thing, since we're still doing October videos first, then catch-up, then musical edits, which is returning, which is cool. But yeah, that's another thing we've changed up. We're going through some changes here, so I'm just getting them all out of the way and sort of explaining things behind them. What I have in my notes, because originally Digest was to give me an incentive to watch analytical YouTube again. I hadn't been keeping up since making my own videos, so I had a lot of catching up to do, but now we've caught up on a lot of people, so I can watch their new videos as they come out. So structurally moving forward, I think the bulk of Digest will be covering new videos that came out this month instead of a 50-50 split like last month between catch-up and new videos. Also, the catch-up session will be me sort of putting a line in the sand as a commitment to catch up on that person's stuff. We talked about that. So in the preceding month, I can rewatch all their stuff, and yes. We have a few of those today. Also, instead of charting things out by video, I've decided to start, we talked about doing it by creator. Also, this shit isn't about to be 8 hours, 10 minutes a section, hopefully. Less detailed notes, which is what I've done. Less recap of the videos and actually talking about the videos and what makes them great. We aren't here for agreement, whatever. Let me know how you like these changes in the comments below, and we'll evaluate it all in preparation for next month. Give me some naming ideas. Tell me how you like the changes, if you like it better or worse this way. Leave a comment about anything. Jesus Christ. Helps it in the algorithm. Also, I assume that's true. People say that. I don't fucking know how the algorithm works. But also, maybe I want to know what people think. I will read all the comments. There are some videos I didn't get around to that I planned on. The Craftsdwarf One Piece videos, I only watched one. I wanted to watch all of those. Also, the Brory Den Shell, I'm not sure how to say the channel's name. I think it's a woman, but we'll say they, them, just in case. They made the Portrait of a Lady on Fire video that we talked about last month that I really liked. And I plan on going back and watching all of their content as sort of like a catch-up thing. They also had a new video that came out in October, but I just didn't get around to it. It was sort of on the back burner until it was too late. So next month, hopefully, we'll be caught up on their stuff. I know they're coming out with a Shakespeare video soon about the weird Shakespeare adaptations of like the 2000s, like the Romeo and Juliet one, the Romeo x Juliet one. I remember I had to watch that in school. That was a fun time. So maybe we'll put that video on the videos watched for October section next month. I watched all the recent Digi videos this month, but didn't really have anything to say. None of them came out this month. They're about a month old. May was still making videos and things like that. I watched them. They're not on digest. I don't really have that much to say about any of them. They were pretty cool. The musical segments is back, and I think that's all we need to go over in the introduction. There we go. 11 minutes in, the introduction is over. We're on course for an 8-hour episode again. But let's get into the videos. First, we have the Caribou-Kun What Inspired Gurren Lagann video. It came out on September the 30th, 2020, Australia time, so it should have been on last month's. Another thing I didn't finish the shortlist of videos until the 1st. That's why I'm only starting to record on the 3rd here. I think that's the way we'll go in the future, especially if digest is shorter. It still should come out hopefully on the 5th or 6th of the month. But then I'll cover all the September 30th video, or rather a November 30th video. What am I talking about? An October 30th video will be on this month's thing and moving forward. So I won't have to do catch up for the end of the previous month and the next month's digest. Whatever. That's a whole bunch of fuckery. This video is fucking insane. Everybody's been talking about it. Well, I've been seeing Shaybs retweeting a bunch of tweets putting the video over and about how great it is. It is true, it was that great. But it doesn't have that many views. It's got 30,000. I think his highest viewed videos are the Berserk videos we talked about last month. I don't know how these compare to them in sort of lifetime thing. This is a video that will grow over time. Especially word of mouth. Hopefully it'll grow a little bit from this video or something. Because this video is must-see shit. It's 2 hours long. What Inspired Gurren Lagann? Now that title is not very clickbaity, and I think that probably has a lot to do. We might talk about the title in another video coming out soon. A scripted video maybe about analysis videos. Analysis video titles rather. But I was talking about how the title isn't really clickbaity. If you look at Berserk is unadaptable, that's a statement that everybody has an opinion on. They're either going to go hard agree, or they're going to be like, what the fuck's he talking about, or they're going to be mad. So it makes them click on it. This video, I didn't watch until halfway through the month, because it just sat there in the playlist for digest of videos I intended to watch. And I just looked at it and I was like, what inspired Gurren Lagann? I don't give a fuck about this. I've never seen Gurren Lagann. The most I know about Gurren Lagann is from Nate's old videos, and I'm pretty sure he told me anything. I don't need to watch any more Gurren Lagann videos. This was my mindset moving in. And I feel like this might be a lot of people's mindset who are listening to this now and haven't seen Gurren Lagann, who don't think this video would be worth it. 2 hours about Gurren Lagann. The truth is, this video is about Gurren Lagann, but not entirely, and not really. The meat of the video is in the references. So this fucking video ends up being a 2-hour lesson in anime history. It's almost like a documentary of sorts about the backstory behind all the different influences on Gurren Lagann. And he splits it into 5 parts. I have them written down here. And the key to this video is sort of my biggest takeaway from this video, besides the editing being fucking ridiculous and it being so dynamic and how long this must have taken, and I don't know how to edit anything. I don't give a fuck about editing in my videos. It's not even something I'm that jealous of. I was jealous of this video, but the editing wasn't really it, because it's just I don't care about editing, and just looking at this from afar, it's a completely different world to me. He's fading clips in and out. It looks like an AMV type editing, that much of effort, but over 2 fucking hours. So it's literally insane. It's literally insane. The intro is a bit more, but later as he gets into footage, it sort of calms down. But it's consistently this fucking just masterful editing shit. probably the best I've ever seen. I remember saying that last month about the Berserk videos, about how that unadaptable video was like the best editing I'd ever seen when I originally watched that. This might be it. I'm trying to think of a video that's edited better that I've ever seen in my life. We Have Accepted Mediocrity is like Davu's best editing. It's really good. I guess that's in the same league as this video, but what else? Let me just scroll down real quick. See, none of these videos are. For Digest, definitely the best edited video on this fucking list. It's literally insane. You gotta fucking see it. You gotta click on this video out of curiosity, just to see the editing, especially the intro, which is where I guess it's the best. I don't know. But he splits it in 5 parts. That's what we were talking about. We're trying to go through quick, but I'm dilly-dallying the fuck around. Where do I have them written down? So the first part, let me just see if I can remember. He starts with Getarobo, something I'd kind of heard the name of before. The interesting thing, personally, for me going through this video is because I've watched so much of Digi's content and like After Dark stuff and even rant stuff, but mostly After Dark stuff where she dives into, like all the different like weird anime history stories, and basically I had like little pieces of information that Digi had not very well communicated over the years, and just like many things they would say over time, like about Gainax, and I sort of knew little things about Gainax from Digi videos and sort of these other names and these other things that's talked about in this video, but like this was actually like a clear-cut, well put together explanation for all of this stuff, which was a lot of fun. Like, it's sort of the appeal of the Walking the King's Road series that we talked about last month, the wrestling videos that we will talk about in depth in the catch-up section, because those are the only videos as good as this video on the fucking digest today. Those videos are incredible, but we'll get to that. We're talking about Caribou-Kun's video right now. I was talking about Getarobo. No, I had moved on to something else. Editing. Oh, the Digi stuff about getting all, like, this video being, like, 5 parts, like, just learning anime history, and it's so cool to actually have it filled in. So Getarobo was first, then Tomoro, which is, like, a big meme or something that I didn't know about, really. Then Gainax, then Kaneda, who was an animator, then Ashino Joe, which is Shaybs' thing. Apparently, I recall seeing some other videos on his channel when I was scrolling through it last month to see if I wanted to watch any of the other videos, and I just settled on the Berserk videos. I think I saw a few Ashino Joe ones. Megalobox one about references in that one, and then ranking every episode or something maybe. The point is, like, he sells you on all of these things. Like, Getarobo. Like, and Ashino Joe, they're both 70s, and he shows a bunch of 70s stuff, and apparently he's the 70s guy, which I got from the new content series where he was doing the seasonal thing, and Did You Like referred to him as Shaybs as the 70s guy. And I've completely won over. The 70s aesthetic was peak anime and where the medium should have ended, is one of my notes here. The only thing I've ever seen from the 70s from anime or manga is the original Devilman manga that I've read from 72. I've never seen a 70s anime. I've only seen like 20 fucking anime, so don't get at me about that. But like, it looks so cool. I don't even know if Getarobo is from the 70s. It's probably started, but I think Shaybs talks about in the video it doesn't have an ending, and it like ended in like 2006 or something, so it's continued going. But just the aesthetic, how like hair is drawn in 70s anime aesthetic, it's so cool. It looks just like Devilman, and I love the Devilman aesthetic. And I didn't think it was like unique to Devilman or anything. I just never really seen another 70s manga before, and just the aesthetic of this fucking Getarobo manga looks fucking incredible. And I was immediately sold on it. Them grinning all the time, grinning and arrogance I've written down here, seems so cool. Getarobo seems like some shit I'd enjoy a lot. And that was awesome. And him just talking about Getarobo and how it all plays into the Gurren Lagann stuff, fucking great. The Tomoro stuff was a bunch of old 70s anime stuff, I think. Might have even been some 60s anime stuff. Talks about the appeal of that and how people have sort of made this man into a meme and how he shouldn't do that because he deserves respect, and I was fully on board. Everything Shaybs was saying in this video, he made a great fucking case for, and I was fully like, alright, now I didn't really know that he was a meme beforehand, but I won't do that. He pointed out that like all of his characters don't speak really like real people, and how that's sort of interesting and things like that. It seemed cool. It was probably the least interesting part. No, I think it was pretty... Maybe the animator stuff, though I don't know. It was all great. But the Gainax stuff, moving on here, was fucking great. I got all the chills when he was starting to talk about Ava, when he was like, the studio was struggling, and then they hit gold, and because Ava was the only thing that he talked about influencing Gurren Lagann that I think I'd seen, because I hadn't seen any of this other stuff. So it was like, ooh, it's the thing I know about in the video. He doesn't talk about Ava for more than like 2 minutes, talking about all the other Gainax stuff, but it was a cool little introduction he did there. Sort of getting the background on Gainax. There's like a Gainax like TV, a Japanese TV show. What do you call it when it's a biography or autobiography? No, biopic, but I think it's a series. That looked cool as fuck, that I actually might want to check out. The Gainax pose and introducing things like that, the Gunbuster stuff. We talked about Gunbuster last month in the AMV that I'm in love with. I think that intro was from Get a Robo, right? This song. I have that fucking song on my phone. I listen to it all the time now. I still don't entirely know where it's from, but I'll fucking listen to it. Fuck that shit. We're talking about Gainax. The Gainax portion was probably my favorite part. I know, this Get a Robo shit and the Joe stuff was great. Then he goes on to talk about the Canada stuff. Canapa? No, that's the fucking YouTuber. Canada, I think, was his name. This animator that died shortly after Gurren Lagann came out, and sort of how his influence was felt through this thing and how he influenced the staff and stuff. Again, it's a very Digi. Digi was like the first person I ever see like talk about the staff behind anime. I know Canapa, who we just referenced, talks about that a lot, and showing Shaybs, like just knowing that stuff. Especially from a Western perspective, knowing the names of the people that make your favorite anime-related shit is cool. So diving into that here was fun, and talking about what sort of like a personality he was. That was all cool. Then the Ashino Joe portion, I think this might have been the longest portion. It's Shaybs' thing, as I said. But now it's definitely on the list of things that I should watch. The 70s aesthetic there looked cool as fuck. The bad guy's name is Rikishi, giving me wrestling vibes. I wonder if it probably is in some way, probably influenced what Fatu's new gimmick was, the Rikishi gimmick in the WWE in the early 2000s, late 90s. The artwork in like this, again, the 70s aesthetic really sold me throughout this video. So Joe was something that's on the list now. Seeing just how sort of the character Joe was, I saw can I say some Luffy in there, some arrogance, and I really like arrogant main characters. I wonder why. So it seemed like something I would really like. So Get a Robo and fucking Ashino Joe are now on the list. Everything is very dramatic and cool in this video I have down in my notes that I really like the Ava introduction, and he does the big line, "This is Get a Robo," and he introduces it. I really like that. 70s aesthetic I go into here. It's sort of also making fun of shitty reference videos that have the red fucking arrow and point down, and they just point. He like brings up this one example of the one dude, like background character that looks like Squidward or whatever, and making fun of how this isn't a video like that, and it's actually delving into influences and how that affects things. I think I've said everything I wanted to say in my notes here. I have a little note here. This video definitely sold me more on Gurren Lagann than even Nate's video did. After I watched Nate's big Gurren Lagann special, his two-parter, I almost felt like, well, I don't have to watch Gurren Lagann now. It was still always tangibly, like, eventually I'll watch it or whatever, but it wasn't like an urgent thing where now I have to watch Gurren Lagann, because it sort of explained to me, and it's not like Nate's fault or anything. He gives a spoiler warning and everything, just like Shaybs does at the beginning of this video. But spoilers are usually what make me want to get into something, like learning that Rikishi dies is like a cool moment, and probably the moment that did sell me on like wanting to watch Ashino Joe. And spoilers have traditionally always made me go like, oh, really? That shit happens? Well, I gotta check that shit out. But for Gurren Lagann Nate video, it was just like, well, what is there left for me to even explore? Now, obviously, there would be if I was to watch it. Obviously, I'm not advocating that I shouldn't have watched it. But this video definitely did a better job of getting me interested in watching Gurren Lagann, even though I feel like I know all the spoilers and things like that. That's never deterred me in the past. So there you go. Made me have a crisis about my own content. There was something in me. Now, it wasn't like it was sort of like how much... I don't know if it was all research for this video or just general knowledge he already had, but how much he knows about all this stuff, or how much it comes across that he knows about all this stuff. And I was sort of just thinking, like, what could I make a video on that I know this much stuff about that isn't like about the text, but about the influences behind the text. And I sort of thought about this again in relation to Walking the King's Road, the Joseph Montecillo wrestling series we'll talk about later. Where I was like, could I do it on like the WWE Women's Revolution? I know a lot about that. I know sort of the mindset at the time. I feel like I could make something like that, something this passionate, this detailed, that I know like everything about. That was like the one thing I came to the conclusion I could do it about. Because I know a lot about wrestling, and like a rugby video that I've had the idea for a while. But like there's nothing anime related that I could ever make this video about. Like I couldn't do like the influences on Berserk or whatever, because I just haven't seen much anime or manga, and I don't really have an interest in watching like everything. This sort of comes, like you sort of have to be an expert in anime and manga and the surrounding culture and the staff backgrounds and the workers in the industry to know all this stuff, to be able to make a video about this stuff. I like learning about it through videos like this, and I'd rather do that than look into it myself, but I'm very much like I would rather reread Berserk than watch something new like every time. And not even because Berserk's that great, but because I love the process of re-intaking old content. That's just sort of the way I like to do things. So it was like I could never do this for something. So it was like, wrestling and rugby is sort of the only things I know everything about. Everything tentatively, of course. And only certain sections of rugby and wrestling, of course. But it's just sort of like, what could I do this on? This level of depth and things like that. Just a quality video, probably the best video. I don't know, those Walking the King's Road videos are just so good. But besides that, definitely the best video this month, a video everybody should watch. And we're only about 27 minutes in, and we've got one video down, so that's pretty good. The next ones shouldn't be as fast. But that's the Caribou-Kun, the Shaybs video. We will probably be watching this. He did a very, very good job here. Considering how dense this video was, I don't think we're going to get another Caribou-Kun video that isn't, I guess, an AMV or something for a long, long time. I don't even know if he's announced that he has other future projects in the works. I'm sure there'll be one eventually, but for now, go and enjoy this fucking video. Everybody's giving it the raps. And I guess I am too. But well done, son. But we're moving on here to a super Eyepatch Wolf. We've decided to go through the anime videos at the beginning here. So we're going through Super Eyepatch Wolf now. Now his video this month was Favorite Things Fall 2020. Which came out on October the 17th. Did I even say the date for the last one? Yeah, I did. I had a big thing about September the 30th. Gross. So October the 17th, 2020, he did the things. He does this every season where he reflects on his favorite things from the previous season. So this was fall, which is autumn for everybody that's not stupid. Do fucking Irish people call it fall? Is this news to me? Why do Australians call it autumn then? Because the Yanks call it fall. Because the Leafs fall, get it? They're fucking half-wits, let's not forget. Fuck, you'll know who the president is by the time this goes up, so I can't even make a reference to that. But I could. It depends if Donald Trump is still elected. But let's not get into that. Fall. Where does autumn come from? You'd think we got it from them fucking Brits. But like the Irishmen are right next to the Brits, but they don't really like the Brits. I don't know, there's like a whole North Ireland thing. This is completely irrelevant. Where the fuck does fall come from and autumn come from? But fall disgusts me, and if you use it, you're bad. So these videos are a recommendation machine where he talks about all his favorite things from the previous season, and he does them every season, and they're always fun to watch. I could have done the Bleach videos, because I think they came out at the very end of last month too. I don't want to dive into that. I don't know anything about Bleach. I will watch those videos eventually. I don't think I've even seen his old Bleach video. I know there's a bunch of, there's a subsection of the internet that really shits on him for his Bleach video. And they also shit on him for this video. I think I saw in Digest, Shaybs had put this that Bleach video in like the worst category. I saw some tweets about it and things like that. But I don't know what he did wrong. I do have a tangential curiosity into what all that's about, so I would maybe like to go and watch those videos eventually, but I didn't. I decided to not do that this month, because we'll just talk about this instead. So yeah, basically these videos are recommendation machines, just like this video, where you just find good shit from a YouTube video. He has like a YouTube section, he has a music section, he has an anime manga section, a TV and film section, a gaming section. Goes through all the things he talks about. I used to listen to his podcast with his two friends that I forget the name of. He actually mentions one of his friends, and that he made a big tour of his room YouTube video going through his collection. But I can't fucking remember his name. I can't even remember Super Eyepatch Wolf's real name now that I'm trying to think about it. His not screen name, but he does this all the time. Yes. And these are very basic videos. These aren't blowaway videos. I'm not going to tell you to go out and fucking watch this video. You got to see it. Not like the Shaybs video we just went over. But they're like, if you're into Super Eyepatch Wolf and you're into getting recommendations, and this is the type of video for you. This is targeted content for you. I think these videos usually are like less viewed than is usual. Like big Bleach video or Naruto video or Dragon Ball or Simpsons or whatever the fuck, Berserk video. But it's got all the Super Eyepatch Wolf gloss on it. So it's like the narration is really good, individual lines are very well written, some not so funny jokes, all the conventional Super Eyepatch Wolf stuff. It's a Super Eyepatch Wolf. That's what you get in here. The things he goes through the SpongeBob anime thing, this cool rainy season game that there was an analysis video on. I did put that analysis video on that channel in the digest playlist, so maybe they'll show up next month. It's about God of High School. Japan Sinks, which didn't make that much of a splash, not as much as Devilman Crybaby, but since it's from Ueser, I think is his name, the same director who did Ping Pong and the other ones before it. One of them has the really cool name that I really, really like. The movie about the girl. I'm thinking Leapt Through Time, but it's obviously not that. Walk On Girl. What's it called? The Night Is Long Walk On Girl. It's like the coolest name I've ever heard for anything. I think Ueser is that dude. But he made Japan Sinks. I haven't watched it. I do have an interest in watching it since I like the aesthetic, and it seems to be another like tragedy. Japan Sinks is like an old novel, I think, that they're adapting here. So I am tangentially interested in that. Super Eyepatch Wolf. I think Vic and Hope was shitting on it, and I think I saw a thumbnail about them not liking it. Super Eyepatch Wolf seems to like it, so I don't know. I never read or watch anything new. You know this if you've been part of the audience at this point. He talks about Hades, Carrion, which actually both look like pretty cool games, Ring Fit Adventure, and I didn't know Super Eyepatch Wolf was a shooter. He's got some footage of him doing MMA. I know he trained to be a wrestler for a little while. I've heard him talk about that for a little while. Didn't know he was shooting on pricks, shooting on his fellow Irishmen over there. But that's cool. Then Moon, which was this weird RPG game that looked really cool and artsy. Deadly Premonition 2, which is something I feel like I've heard the name from. I can't really remember what he says. And then he has some music stuff. Then he goes into a whole wrestling example with Roman versus the Uso. I haven't caught up on Raw or anything, or I guess it's a SmackDown storyline, so I couldn't even comment on that when it's a wrestling thing in a Super Eyepatch Wolf video. Usually we're either shitting on him or praising him for that stuff. But I can't because I haven't seen it. The way he talked about it seemed fine. Wrestling without the crowd is fucking abysmal and I hate it. So I don't think I will like it as much as he did, no matter what they do. I'd have a Bleach note here. Not a blowaway video. I was looking forward to watching it before I'd seen it, and I had fun watching it while. I also watched the previous season's one because I didn't think I had watched it, and I don't think I had. I can't remember what he says in that one. It's a recommendation machine. If you're looking for something new to get into, it could be a fun time to watch this video and check out some of the things. It is a very good job at like selling you on something in like 2 minutes and talking about why this thing is cool. He did it really well with Hades, I remember, and I was like, okay, this seems cool. This is something that's registered in my brain that maybe one day I'll play it. I probably never will, but that's how these things go. But just like segmenting an appreciation for something in like a minute span and probably like a paragraph, he's very good at that, old Super Eyepatch Wolf, and he does some of that here. But that's really all we have to say. We're going to move through these videos quicker. I told you, I promised. But that's really all you have to say. If you haven't seen one of these videos before, check it out. If you have, you know what to expect, and if this seemed like it was going to be to your liking, check it out again. But we're moving on to ProfessorViral here. Last month we covered one of his Rock Black Lagoon videos. We had a big thing. Talked about how I'm the Black Lagoon boy. He's overtaken me now. I think I checked it today because this is when I watched these videos. These videos particularly, not most of the videos on the list. I can't watch all of these videos in fucking one day, right? That fucking Shaybs one was 2 hours long. His original Rock video has 200,000 views. It's already past Rock and Revy. That was a sad time. Rock and Revy has been stuck on 135,000 views for a while now. It seems like everybody that wants to see that video has seen it, and it can't really grow anymore. Not even slowly. It's getting like 80 views every 2 days. Whatever, doesn't matter. That was just a neat little thing. He's like, already overtaken me. I mean, he's shitting out this Black Lagoon content here. Which I should fucking take a note from. There is one. I did write down some notes for my to reiterate there are no badass women in Black Lagoon videos, because when he was talking about Revy, it made me think about Revy a little bit, and I thought about some new things to write down about her for that video. These videos generally, like this one and these two rather, he has two here. Revy Silver Bullet, Black Lagoon anime discussion and profile by ProfessorViral. This was in October the 5th, 2020 video. And then Rock, the Blank Bullet, Black Lagoon anime discussion, ProfessorViral, October 19th. So again, it's a second video about Rock and the first one about Revy, but all of it's been about Rock and Revy. All of my Black Lagoon videos about Rock and Revy, I guess except for the Roberta and the Balalaika videos I did, and this edit video if I ever come up with a fucking idea for it. The thing about Black Lagoon, I think, because these are his most popular videos by far, I'm pretty sure. Or maybe there was some older Tokyo Ghoul stuff or something that was popular. Or maybe I'm thinking of a different channel. But it's like most of his other videos don't get like more than like 5,000 views, it seems. So I can sort of relate to him in this regard. He's figured out that Black Lagoon content is really popular, but he's also figured out that there's not that much to say outside of the Rock and Revy relationship. And he's basically discussed all of it at this point. And I had through the Rock and Revy series and then through Best Relationship in Anime. It's a great relationship. So much of the show is the greatest anime of all time on the back of this relationship. It's the best thing in anime to ever exist. But once you've figured it out, that's what the show is about. And you can't really make more videos. And I think he's coming to this brick wall of he even starts repeating himself sometimes in some of these videos where it's like, Revy doesn't know what she wants. She sort of wants Rock to save her. She doesn't want to come out and say it. She's very depressed. She acts like she doesn't care about certain things that she really does care about. This is all subtextual. It's never coming to the surface. Is she in love with him? Is she not? There's like a million layers to Revy's character about her having fucked up sense of motivation that comes through and sort of indicates certain different things at times. It's fucking great. Her voice actress is the greatest dub voice actress of all time. It's compelling. It's fucking fantastic to watch. And then what do you say? Because most of the series is just her interacting with Rock. And then Rock is a little bit less interesting, but he's also this weird Michael Corleone character arc inversion thing, where it's sort of the fall of him and how that relates to Revy, and it's all great. I've talked about this in a million videos. He talks about them in these videos, but after you've done that and talked about where they should go in the relationship moving forward, what are you going to talk about, Dutch? Everything around these two characters is just to supplement these two characters. Every character besides these two is a parallel to them in some way, Garcia to Rock and Fabiola to Revy, and Kageyama to Rock and fucking Balalaika to Revy, and fucking, what's his name, Yukio to Rock, and Genji to Revy. You just go through and everything is written to be about these characters. And it's great. But what do you make videos on after you've discussed it at length? And I feel like he's coming into that thing. But these videos basically say everything I've already said before. So to me, these videos aren't that great. But I like that these videos exist, that these could make people want to think more critically about Black Lagoon since it deserves it. And I hate its reputation. We've gone into that, and we'll go into that more in my to reiterate video. I think the Pete Campbell thing is what happens here. I've seen some people say that maybe he just copied my videos, but I don't think that's true at all. There's so many little differences in the way he views it where I don't think he's even seen my videos. Also, the Pete Campbell thing is from Mad Men, where Pete Campbell talks about how he came up with this marketing technique. It turned out it already existed, but he came to it independently, and that's what matters. And just sort of, it's a scene of Pete Campbell, not realizing the irony of him saying this. And it's a great scene. But, I feel like we both come to the same conclusions independently here. I don't think anybody's copying off anybody. I just wanted to get that out of the way. He's just saying everything. I don't really know. But there are a few little points that are different. He pointed out Rock not caring about money, and then there's this one scene where he acts like he cares about money to Dutch, and he sort of speaks Dutch's language to him to get him interested in the Roberta's blood trail. At the end of Roberta's blood trail, in the plot, basically. So Dutch could come in and get the Americans out of Roanoke, off the coast. And I'd never really thought about that well. And the way he's pointed that out, like the Robin Hood thing last month, was really clever, and I liked it. And how sort of he's pretending to be a bunch of things to certain people, even to Revy, and sort of like the darkness element, and how that's sort of not him. And he realizes that at the end. And the importance of that final scene and the final OVA is so good. Like Revy wanting to kill him earlier that day, and I guess it's a few months after the fact, and sort of them, I sort of read it as them sort of agreeing to be shitty together, and how that's a lot better, and sort of them agreeing to stick together, not necessarily be together as in a romantic relationship or anything like that. I feel like that'd be more overt if that was to ever happen, which I do think is where the relationship has to end up, but that's a whole different conversation. I also disagree with a bunch of little points that didn't really matter. But the money thing, where he talks about how at the beginning of the OVAs, there's a scene where he doesn't care that his wallet gets stolen, and at the end he doesn't care about Cheng's money, and he just cares about sort of changing Roanoke and destroying it, and things like that. All good stuff. And then I talked about running out of ideas here in my notes. And that's really all I have to say about those two videos. If you're starved for Black Lagoon content and you're waiting for my edit video that you're going to be waiting for 6 months, to reiterate, there are no badass women in Black Lagoon should come out soon. Especially from these videos. It made me think about it, and I had some newer points to say. I've been thinking about that video a lot recently, which means it's probably going to get made. But if you want to hold over, these ProfessorViral videos do the trick. They basically say a bunch of the same stuff. But anybody looking at Black Lagoon analytically, I'm a big fan of. So there we go with those videos. See, we're going a little bit faster. We're moving on to Oceaniz here. We're going to talk about all of his Naruto videos, since that's what I watched, but the video from this month is the reviewing Naruto, the Tsunade search arc by Oceaniz that came out on October the 15th, 2020. He's come out with some other more recent videos about Jujutsu Kaisen, I think, which I know he's a big fan of from his Formers content video last month that we talked about, that I was a big fan of. But he started a whole Naruto thing. Where do we start here? We're going to talk about all these videos. He has an Old Land of Waves video. Then he has a video about chakra. He does this series of video where he talks about different shonen anime power structures and things like that. What do you call it? Not power structures. Power system. And he talks about all that, and then he has an official reviewing Naruto thing. He talks about how Naruto was his original anime, got him into anime. He talks about this at the beginning of every video, just to reiterate it if there's anybody new watching. But as for these videos overall, we're mostly going to be talking about the reviewing thing here. But this sort of goes for everything he says. I feel like I was gushing about that Formers content video last week. I was like, Oceaniz is my boy. He's great. I can't wait to watch more of his content. These videos were a lot less great, I must say. It sounds like every generic criticism of Naruto you've ever heard, combined into one series. Every generic Naruto opinion. He just come on with some hot takes. He talks about how the tuning exams aren't as good as everybody says. But outside of that, it feels like every criticism of Naruto ever. And I remember last month we also watched a Numanji video, I think, about Itachi that was sort of a cool, new, interesting way that went against everything everybody's always said about Naruto forever about Itachi, and how thematically everything pays in, and the Sasuke thing, and how it actually does make sense. Whereas these Oceaniz videos feel like every generic criticism that everybody... he talks about how these are basically all the things he thought as he was reading the manga as it originally came out, as he was, because Naruto ended like 5 years ago, and he talks about how he was caught up and he was reading through for the final stretch there with like the fandom, and every week doing a weekly review, and sort of all the criticisms that come out of that, which I think are usually absolutely useless. Like I listen to Podcast episodes, and like I feel like this is just a terrible way to digest anything, is to like one chapter comes out, then everybody stresses and reviews about every detail and makes a bunch of speculation that's not going to come true, and they're disappointed that their speculation didn't come true, and all this different stuff, which just isn't there if you're just quickly going through Naruto and you don't have to wait a week between episodes or chapters and you get a bunch of the content at once. So I feel like I was looking for a refreshing take here, and I just got the same old shit, is more of what happened with these videos. What was some of the particular things? Like, he talks about the Tsunade arc being boring. He talks about the pacing a lot, which is true. Naruto has atrocious pacing. But I feel like they're sort of accepted, and it's like, do we really need to talk about this that much? A lot of Sakura hate, as you can expect. Sakura does suck in part 1. And, like, Sakura is a fundamentally flawed character in the fact that her motivation is her crush on a 12-year-old boy. And, like, the whole Naruto, we love Naruto, but Naruto does some fucking abysmally stupid shit. Like, the fact that Ino and Sakura's friendship ended because they both like Sasuke. And the weird thing where Sakura is the only one of the original, like, squad in the Chunin exam that doesn't have a unique power. Like, even Ino has the mind transfer thing. Shikamaru has shadows. Tenten has weapons. Sakura has nothing. She has nothing to fight with until she gets monster strength, post-time skip, and medical ninjutsu. And then she's useful, and then at least in fights she's always doing something. And then she's not like the fucking bridge arc where Kishimoto just can't get out of his own way without, because half the time he wants to make Sakura a damsel, and then there's the Sasori fight where she actually does something, and then there's even big moments in the war arc where, now I'm pretty sure I love the war arc, which Ocean says is like the shittiest thing ever, and he's going to get into that when he eventually gets into it. The war arc is like the best and worst of Naruto, I feel. We're going into a Naruto tangent, but this is things he goes into. Just the fact that, like, Sakura, like, Kishimoto can't figure out if he wants her to be a damsel or not all the time. Like, there's moments in the war arc, which is what I was getting at before I went on a tangent, where, like, she has multiple moments where part of her thing becomes, I'm not going to stand behind them anymore, I'm going to stand shoulder to shoulder, and they have the big moment where Team 7 unite, and nobody really gives a fuck. Well, I didn't, at least. I bet a bunch of Naruto people did. Where they all unite and they all summon the big kaiju that they have, which their fucking teachers have passed on to them. Tsunade, Orochimaru, Jiraiya, down to Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura. And they have the big thing. But then Sakura just starts healing, and it's like, healing isn't cool. Like, it sucks. It's lame. It's shit. We don't like you because you heal. And everybody just wanted Sakura to smash things and have cool moments. And she just didn't really ever do that. And it's like, Sakura hate. It's not as, like, people hate Sakura a lot for being annoying, which I don't think she is. Like, I like Sakura, but her writing is fucking awful. And, like, I think Oceans also touches on this briefly about how, like, the Naruto and Sasuke fucking relationship, that the whole series is, like, built on the back of about this bond that can never be broken. Like, the bond is never established. Like, Naruto and Sasuke sort of, like, they have the one moment in the Land of Waves where they sort of shit on each other, but lovingly. And then in the Chunin exams, they're, like, basically apart forever, or they're just shitting on each other. And then suddenly Sasuke decides he's going to be a rogue ninja. And it's just like, and then they act like they were best friends when they weren't. They were never best friends. They were still in the phase of the relationship where they act like they hated each other. Like, they never got over that. And there was, like, an acceptance of actually they don't hate each other and they are teammates. But that was never explored. There wasn't an arc where they came together. Like, there was never... to compare it to Berserk is a little unfair. But there's never the Guts and Griffith moment of them being actual friends. And even the Guts and Griffith thing I have criticisms of sometimes. About how obsessed Griffith is with Guts and things like that. But, like... And Oceans has made this joke, and I've seen every Naruto idiot make this joke about how Shikamaru is actually Naruto's best friend and things like that. Because, like, they actually have a relationship and they're not apart for the entire series until the end. I don't know, Naruto has some bad things going on. It's got some fundamental flaws that it never worked through. But I feel like a lot of the criticism wasn't as good from these Ocean videos. I really didn't like these videos much. Again, the genericism of the critique. Like, haha, the Orochimaru fucking Hiruzen battle is like put on hold for 6 episodes and they replay the same scene. The animation is bad at the beginning. He does the thing which all Naruto fans like to do, and it seemed to have become a new thing in the community to really hype up the Land of Waves arc, which just isn't really that good. People like to say, and the weird Naruto fans that think its themes are deep or whatever, your words cut deeper than a blade or whatever, and they quote that Zabuza line like it means something when it's just cringy, and I don't like it. Naruto's strengths are not in theming. Though that Itachi video that we watched last month, that Jumanji video, seemed to indicate that it had something to say about theming, and it was actually good. We need more of those videos than these ocean videos. An honest look at Naruto that put it together. Like, I feel like there's a lot of preconceived notions coming into these ocean reviews that are just going to be validated by a rewatch. So it's a little frustrating. We went on a tangent that wasn't about the video, that was just about Naruto and shitting on it. And that's the thing. Naruto fans, the most hardcore Naruto fans, are the ones that shit on Naruto the most and the hardest. Like, I don't think I'm going to get much pushback on everything I just said. Every Naruto fan's like, yep, that's pretty fucking true. Naruto's stupid as fuck. But then you just think about the Obito and Kakashi fight, and I Will Always Love You, and everything to do with Itachi or Minato or Jiraiya, or like the Akatsuki being cool as fuck, and the aesthetic always being on point, and the designs being great, and you just go into the things about Naruto that are cool and shit. Like, the Naruto and Sasuke shit may be lame as fuck, but that last fight in the Shippuden one, I don't even like the last fight in Naruto, I must say. Everybody loves that fight, fuck that shit, it was boring. But that last fight at the end of Shippuden, the climax of the whole series, is fucking awesome. And I hate fights, but Naruto has all the fights I like. Shikamaru and Tamari's relationship, all that shit is good. One of the points Ocean points out is about how much better Hinata is written immediately than Sakura, and he points out this one scene that I've always actually really liked, where Hinata talks to Naruto before Naruto goes to the big Chunin exam final, and he's like vulnerable with Hinata for a second, and it's like, like, they had a moment there, and it was like, it's like, that's more than Sakura and Sasuke will ever get. They will never get a moment like that. Though there is that moment before Sasuke leaves where he's like, thank you for everything. That's sort of cute between Naruto and between Sakura and Sasuke. But that's like it. That's the only moment they ever get, and then time skip, they're married. But even Oceans points out in his video, like, I'm not going to say that the Naruto and Hinata relationship is well written, because it's not. And I agree, it's not at all. But like, that one moment of setting the stage is like really endearing. And the fact that, like, we're rooting for Naruto and Hinata to get together while Naruto's got his head up his ass about Sakura, and it's just like, God damn it, Hinata's right there, what are you doing? And eventually he comes around. Well, we never actually see him come around because the fucking mangaka are fucking cowards, and they never show relationships being developed, and they just would rather cut ahead 3 years and show that they're married. But we don't want to get into that whole discussion again. Thinking about Naruto is a lot of fun. Shitting on Naruto is a lot of fun. Talking about all the great things about Naruto is a lot of fun. I just feel like this doesn't add much to the conversation at all. That one Hinata scene, I remember talking about that. Again, he just talks about the Neji stuff and about how, contradicting their themes. He did bring up how themes were sort of introduced in the Chunin exam arc and the Land of Waves arc that he liked. But just, like, eventually Naruto will betray these themes. I'm pretty sure the Neji thing, like, I'm pretty sure Kishimoto is pretty self-aware of the Neji thing, because I remember there's there's symbolism when Neji gets killed of, like, the bird that gets set free in, like, the metaphor back in the Chunin exams. Like, it also gets impaled by Obito's fucking spike things that he's making the Ten Tails do. So I feel like thematically Kishimoto might not be contradicting himself here. Like, that just might not have been the end of the theme. Again, I'd have to rewatch Naruto to try and understand what it was saying thematically, because I'm going off my, like, 14-year-old memories of the show. So we need to get that Numanji bloke back in here to actually, I trust him much more than Oceans or myself at understanding Naruto thematically. That Numanji video made me think, like, maybe Naruto actually has something to thematically pay attention to here, and I'm not going to judge anything because I haven't seen Naruto in fucking forever, so I can't act like an authority on it. But Oceans is going through it now, and he doesn't seem to be coming to any new conclusions, so that's sort of my conclusion on these videos. I'm going to continue to watch him. I'm interested to see what he thinks and what's going on. At the end of this Tsunade video, he also talks about how great the Sasuke retrieval arc is, which is an arc I absolutely hate. it's all the worst things. There's lots of fights that are just one-on-ones with characters I don't give a fuck about, particularly the villains. Like Choji, cool moment where he nearly dies. Neji, cool moment where he nearly dies, and I care about those characters. But the guys they're fighting, the Sound Ninja dicks, who gives a fuck about those losers? The girl was sort of hot because she was sort of mean, but then Tamari comes in and slaps that bitch, and you're thinking about Tamari now. You're not thinking about this old fucking demon bitch. Get her out of here. I don't know. I don't like the Sasuke retrieval arc at all. I think it's fucking boring and terribly placed, even worse than fucking anything. Not the bridge arc, but I don't know. Naruto, at some point we've got to re-watch it probably and try and figure out what Naruto was about and what's actually good and bad about Naruto, because I don't trust anybody at this point, but I'm leading more in the Numanji fucking direction because I like those videos a lot more. It was something interesting that I never thought about regarding Naruto, whereas this ocean shit is like everything I've ever heard ever, with a few little new points going in. But let's move on to the best guy ever video from this month. There actually was one. I didn't know this video was coming. When it was uploaded, I was like, oh fuck. But it's not a big one of his videos. We better introduce it first. Should we watch more anime? Featuring Made in Abyss, Dawn of the Deep Soul, Best Guy Ever, October 23rd, 2020. Miller, our friend in the Twitch chat, messaged me. We Twitter DM. And he was messaging me when this video first came out and said how this was the most nothing video he'd ever seen. And I'm pretty sure I saw Shaybs put it in the worst category. But I feel like the Shaybs thing might be because he disagrees with the conclusion. I don't know. I haven't actually, I didn't watch that digest episode because I'm still trying to catch up. But they were like, this video is a whole lot of nothing, basically. Which I can sort of see where they're coming from, but it's also Nate being Nate, and that's always enjoyable to me. This video is 18 minutes, and it's about a bunch of different things. It's very cluttered, and it's not very cohesive. I feel like this is a holdover video for either Ghost in the Shell Part 2, which I don't know if he's intending on being his next video or he's working on something else bigger in the background. This is a bunch of what are the points he makes here? Firstly, he talks about how this Made in Abyss movie is great. Then he talks about how you shouldn't watch seasonal anime because it's stupid and bad and you're just going to waste your time watching a bunch of bad shit, which is always true and based. And then he talks about how you should just wait for word of mouth to spread about what everybody thinks is good, and you're more likely to like the thing that everybody else thinks is good rather than going through the trenches yourself and trying to find a hidden gem or something. Which is kind of true, I guess. True. He does this diagram where he shows the Mal upcoming list, and then he crosses off everything but one show about things that he would actually watch if he wasn't about to watch all of them for content, which is his channel. This video also serves as a multiple time ad for the content channel that he does with Digi, because they did a longer review about the Made in Abyss movie that he shills, and then also he talks about how we're going to watch all of these shows for content as well. So it worked on multiple fronts. It gets a video out, it talks about this concept of waiting, which I've heard Nate talk about for a bunch, about not shifting through the bullshit. It talks about Made in Abyss for a little bit and shills content. And it's a bunch of little things. I think it had a bunch of mini points in here that I all thought were fine, but it just comes together to be a kind of okay video. It's Nate. If you're a Nate fan, you're going to like the video because it's him being him. It's got the same... It doesn't have the performative aspect of the previous Ghost in the Shell video where there's the fucking performance at the end and it's the greatest fucking thing you've ever seen, and there's all the editing and it's all the shit, and it's Nate being his charismatic self. He is still being charismatic and shit in this video, but it's not to that level. You can clearly tell this is sort of not something he poured everything into. I'm pretty sure the footage for the Made in Abyss portion is just a repeated trailer. So it's just he downloaded the 2-minute trailer and then put it in. I think that's what I was seeing. I'm trying to remember what else, if there was anything else that interesting about the video. I think I'm starting to come off just as negative as fucking Miller and Shaybs seem to have been. I thought the video was a fun time. It's just Nate being Nate for 18 minutes talking about a bunch of shit. You'll know if you're going to like it, if you like a Nate, I feel like. This isn't the recommended, this is the video you watch to get into Best Guy Ever. I don't think anybody would say that. I don't think this is anybody's favorite Best Guy Ever video, but it is more Best Guy Ever. And he has gone full time, and the videos aren't seeming to come. I think The Ghost in the Shell, Why Smash Matters are the two videos. Why Smash Matters, I think, is over 100k views now. The Ghost in the Shell video died a death in terms of views, even though it was a fucking 10 out of 10 video. So I don't know. I don't know what the state of the Best Guy Ever channel is right now. I don't know what to do moving forward. I don't know what he does. Also, I don't think this video is doing that well view-wise either. Again, we talked about how he's segmented his audience, and like certain members of his audience only want certain things, like certain members only want Smash stuff, certain people only want One Piece stuff, certain people only want whatever another Nate thing is, Final Fantasy or Kingdom Hearts stuff. It's been a bit of a clusterfuck. And I'm still very interested in where Nate goes from here, basically, and what he's going to do. But that's really all we have to say about the video. Again, we're moving quicker. Now we're going to talk about the man himself, the divisive master, Mr. Mother's Basement here. We've got Jeff Fu, and we're talking about his 2 One Piece videos. Now, I was very curious, because after I'd made last month's video, I might have even said this in last month's digest, where I was like, how have we not done a Mother's Basement video yet? Even to shit on it. That's not what's going to be happening here, because these videos are unironically, like, fucking great. And it's opened my eyes to something. People shit on Mother's Basement a lot. I don't think this is news to anybody. He's got 1 million fucking subscribers now. Remember when him and Digi were sort of racing to 1 million, and Digi just dropped off because he said he didn't give a fuck anymore? Said he again. She didn't give a fuck anymore. Whereas fucking Jeff he's streamlined this shit to the T. He's like, I think he talks about at the beginning of the second One Piece video that he apologized for going 3 weeks without uploading a video and saying that was the longest in his channel's history. Like, Jesus Christ. And they just analysis video. He doesn't do vlogs or anything, or not usually. He's like streamlined this process. He just writes scripts, and I'm pretty sure he has editors for everything. I don't think he edits videos anymore. He probably writes scripts, narrates it, sends it off, and then there's a video uploaded. And he's got people that work for him. He's got this shit streamlined like a motherfucker. And that's why he got to 1 million before Digi. But everybody shits on Jeff because Digi made it okay to shit on Jeff. And I feel like I don't even think I've watched that many Mother's Basement videos ever. Everybody used to watch What's in an OP. I remember watching the erased analysis video when I was 14, when I didn't even know analysis videos existed, and I thought it was really interesting that film conventions existed. That was blowing my mind. I would have been 12 at this point, not even 14. Grade 9. No, I would have been 13, probably 12 turning 13 at the time. That doesn't matter. Well, that was the first analysis video I think I'd ever seen. At that time, it was just vlog shit and fucking, I don't know, playthroughs. It was my YouTube days of the 12-year-old. But then, I think I've seen some of those videos, and I've seen other videos. I think mostly What's in an OP. I remember watching his Avengers Infinity War video and thinking that was pretty good. But then I just watched every Digi video under the fucking sun, on every fucking channel, and he shit talks Jeff a lot. Jeff used to be in the Procrastinators. They used to be friends. They didn't really have a falling out. Digi just started talking shit about everybody in his famous video, and Jeff repeatedly became the butt of the joke. He made fun of him for shilling shit all the time, and Naruto online and all that stuff. That was a big thing. Then Jeff is pissed off 1 million people. He's very left. His girlfriend has an OnlyFans, so this turns a bunch of weird right-wing people off, like a mini version of the iDubbbz thing stuff. And she also has a bunch of controversy, like May and Michelle, the fucking Nate and Digi's fucking, ex-wife now. I don't even think they ever got married. They shit on 10 Lead all the time and the stuff they do that I've seen. Being that high up invites all this criticism. So everybody just says Mother's Basement videos are bad now. And now I've watched one and I'm like, that was probably just all bullshit. I don't think Digi has watched a Mother's Basement video in a long time either. I think she just stopped eventually after realizing the shilling stuff and the SEO thing. That was another big meme in the Digi stuff where it was search engine optimization, and being like, I don't give a fuck about that. I'm actually just trying to make good stuff. Whereas it seemed Jeff was prioritizing commercial gain, which is fine, of course. I don't even think, like, this isn't a hatred thing. It's just sort of like everybody, no, I think I said hates. Everybody makes fun of Mother's Basement a lot. And then I just watched this video and I realized that was all bullshit. Like, as soon as I was watching it, like, it's just a bunch of made-up stuff. Like, Digi has a personal issue, sort of. Again, it wasn't like a big falling out, like with Mumkey or whatever the fuck. But just like a personal disagreement in terms of the way they make their content. And this isn't like a great Digi video level video from Jeff here. But Jeff is really good at writing. I really like his narration. And he is very good at analysis. And this all blends together here. Where, like, even, like, now I'm thinking, like, Miller, who we just mentioned in the last video. He DM'd me when Mother's Basement came out with his JoJo video, where he was talking about what you can skip and whatever. And he was big mad about that. All the JoJo people are pissed at Mother's Basement for daring to say to skip something or whatever the fuck. Like, everybody piles on him. But in the same way, nobody does. Like, all of his videos have, like, positive like to dislike ratios. Nobody is... I just literally got a fucking message from Miller on Twitter, and I just looked down at my phone. So that's a little fucking coincidental. I'm going to check for the cameras in a second. I was talking about JoJo, him pissing off those people. Just, like... Everybody that thinks Mother's Basement is, like, terrible, doesn't watch Mother's Basement content. And I feel like a lot of the criticisms are usually that he's making videos about things he probably doesn't care about, and he's just shilling to, like, what's popular, and he's talking about what's popular this season. And maybe that's true, but it's obvious that he likes One Piece from these videos, because One Piece is great, and he's smart enough to realize that. So it doesn't come across in these videos. Maybe it's just these videos where it doesn't come across, like, weirdly, like, I'm just making this video because you're going to click on it, Lamau, and I can write something easy about this shit in 5 seconds, and you idiots will eat it up. But this was actually good stuff, especially when the first video that's all about East Blue, so it's stuff in One Piece I've seen, since I'm only up to Skypiea right now. Like, he was making observations that I hadn't even thought of. Even some wrestling ones that I was, like, kicking myself that Jeff got him. And the wrestling boy over here, me, didn't even pick up on the references with the Meow Brand brothers. And the one dude looking like a super heavyweight wrestler and just not putting that together. I have some other notes here that I think will structure the discussion we're going on here. This video is unironically great, especially in analyzing the design motifs surrounding certain things like the East Blue villains and the such. People shit on Jeff because Digi made it okay to shit on Jeff. But he's always been a great writer, and it shows here. There are some elements of pandering in the videos. We talked about that just now, but I think he genuinely likes One Piece. I like his narration too. He tries so many things. He ties so many things together, flexing his pattern recognition skills, which goes a long way in being good at analysis. I have thought about a lot of things he talks about here. I hadn't thought about a lot of things he talks about here. Thriller Bark standing is interesting. He talks about how he really likes Thriller Bark, which I see a lot of people shit on as well. Because Gecko Moria isn't scary, bro. Don Flamingo made me scared, so he's a better villain. Fucking idiots. One Piece has got its share of fucking morons in its fan base, alright? We're fully aware of this. And him not even indirectly shitting on Syrup Village and liking the Meow Band Brothers was great. The support for Syrup Village was greatly appreciated. Grounding the cartoon aesthetic is another thing he talks about. Everybody goes through a phase of not liking One Piece's aesthetic, which he talks about as well. The way information is slowly revealed and the artistry behind it is something he talks about in One Piece that I even thought about. And I have this note here, this mystery note that I made while watching the video. Whereas all of this stuff was written today, because I watched these videos like a few days ago. And I put, there's some endless Jess in there. And I can't remember what part of the video where I was like, clearly, because obviously he was in the Procrastinators with Jesse. Him and Digi talk about Jesse all the time and about how great his videos were. But there was something in it that felt endless Jesse to me. Jesse, not Jesse isn't his name, whatever. And I can't remember what it was. And I tried to search back through the video. I didn't rewatch the whole video because the second One Piece video was like 50 minutes long. And I can't remember particularly what he said or how he said it or in what way he wrote something. But it felt endless Jesse. Endless Jesse. Endless Jess-like, maybe, is a better way to phrase it. But again, the writing is really good. Like him analyzing Buggy stuff. He shit on the anime for a second regarding Buggy stuff. Analyzing the Meow Brand brothers and Kuro. He had a big part about Kuro that was great. Arlong again. He talked about that for a little while. These videos are really good. Like, and sort of analyzing the crew and the crew dynamic and how that all plays together, and Buggy sort of, and like elaborating on what Buggy thinks and why he fails, and sort of how that's tied into his intrinsic design motifs. Talks about Nami. I remember this point because he said that Nami was his favorite Straw Hat. Nearly based. Luffy is the best Straw Hat. Nami's number 2. But he does this thing that I think it was the only thing I disagreed with in the video, where he talks about how Nami, like, he goes through all of the Straw Hats. This is in the first video where he goes through all the 5 Straw Hats from East Blue, and he talks about how everything from their designs, like, indicates exactly what type of characters they are. Like, Sanji's fucking clothing reflects long legs. He's, like, stubble is because he's kind of mature, but he's actually not. He's actually still like a kid, and he has to learn to mature and things like that. It was all great stuff. Like, I've seen these character designs for a long time, and I haven't thought about him in this way. And this is all good observations that tie into the fucking characters and who they are. And Zoro being the most anime-like character is a great thing. And how Luffy's design allows him to, like, stretch, and how his fucking shorts and shirt, like, help emphasize that, so that his legs are always visible and his arms, and he looks lanky even though he's short. And the Straw Hat now brings everything. He was doing a really good, like, clothing analysis, which I really liked. I was building up to a point. The Nami thing, where he talks about Nami intrinsically from her design. It doesn't tell you too much about Nami's character. And I feel like this is different from I disagree with this for a little bit. So he's basically saying Nami was the worst designed Straw Hat, even though she was his favorite and she's super hot, which is true and based. Nami is the hottest girl, even though he's simping for Robin in the next one. I feel like it has to be a shot at Nate later, a shot at BestGuyEver, where he talks about, he was like, when they introduced Haki in something some people consider to be a retcon, or like wrongly consider to be a retcon. I was like, I catch you there. I still don't know how I stand on this Haki stuff. But the Nami design thing, I keep going on tangents. One Piece is great. It'll make you go on every tangent. Well, it's sort of like a double-edged sword, right? Nami's outfit changes a lot. Sanji's always basically had the same design. Same with Zoro. They wear different outfits for different arcs sometimes. Same with Luffy. His changes a little bit. Brook's always got the suit on. Frankie looks the most different from what I've seen. But Nami's always got like a different design. Like, I'm thinking back to Alabasta, where she's wearing something different. God, the Alabasta outfit, when it gets ripped off in that battle with fucking, I forget her name, Miss Doublefinger, I think her name is, or is that the Mole Woman? I can't remember. God damn, Nami is the sexiest girl in fucking One Piece. But we're getting sidetracked again. But Nami, like, changes her outfit more, so it says less intrinsically about her. The fact that she's, like, hiding what she truly feels and is doing things for, I think sort of plays into why her, like, aesthetic doesn't exactly resemble her character. So I think there was some things to defend there. He also brings up the how most women in One Piece look the same thing, that I'm still not sure. Again, I'm only up to Skype here, so that hasn't set in too bad yet. We'll see what I think about that as we continue. What else is there to say? The world one, the second one was really interesting too. Some of the marine stuff was really good, and sort of analyzing the geopolitics of One Piece in a different way. Because he seemed to be reading a lot of leftist stuff into it, and I'm so used to Nate reading a lot of libertarian stuff into it, so it's like interesting. I feel like it's like sort of the One Piece is by design very open-ended, that you can read, like, freedom is such a nebulous, vague concept that you can read whatever you want into it, like the freedom to express yourself, or to be trans, or to be woke, or to be like left, or the freedom to just do what you want and live without the government interference, like a libertarian. And you can sort of read all this shit into it. But it was interesting seeing that, just because so much of my One Piece is grounded in Nate, and not even like Nate's analysis of things I've seen, but Nate just talking for the last 4 years of me watching him about different One Piece things before I even got into One Piece. But these videos are unearthly great. I wouldn't recommend them to people that aren't One Piece fans, I don't think, unless you're a Mother's Basement fan particularly. But if you are into either one of those things, these are pretty great videos. We'll see what Jeff uploads in the next month, because we might cover his new stuff again. Maybe I should go back, and there's a Yu-Gi-Oh! World building one that I think I would love, because Yu-Gi-Oh! Is fascinatingly brilliant, and I love it. And so wacky, and the character designs, God. Might be the only series with hotter girls than One Piece. Fucking Yu-Gi-Oh! My Valentine. Ishizu. Are we kidding ourselves out here? What else? Who else is a girl? Taya? Bitches, whatever. But yeah. One Piece is great, and this is like an hour and a half of Jeff talking about why, and it's a lot of fun. But let's move on to the last video of this recording session. Now, we're out of the anime sphere. We were just doing a bunch of anime shit. Now we're into the NakeyJakey Naughty Dog's game design is outdated video. It is the first of 3, I believe, Last of Us 2 videos. I promised myself I would stop watching the Last of Us 2 videos and just focus on trying to make my own. But then I realized watching hate videos about The Last of Us 2, I wouldn't describe this video as a hate video, but watching negative Last of Us 2 videos just fuels the fire to make me want to make the Last of Us 2 is perfect video. The 5 hour and a half and like longer than any digest episode Last of Us 2 analysis. Now this video is very interesting because I'd never seen a NakeyJakey analysis video before I sat down for digest. I watched 2 others in preparation for watching this video. Because I didn't want to hate him immediately because from what I hear, he's really good. So I watched 2 other videos before this. We'll talk about that in a second. But I know NakeyJakey because of Digest, because of AniTube Digest, where he talked about, I don't know because I haven't even seen this episode of Digest yet, but when Shaybs uploads a new Digest episode, I go through and I look at the playlist of videos. And at the bottom of the great section, or the best videos of the week, there was an AMV. There was an anime AMV of one of NakeyJakey's songs, because he also does music, the Cafeteria song, but it was like an anime version, because in the official music video that NakeyJakey makes, for that video, he has a bunch of like scenes from things he likes, and it's cut together, and it's this awesome. We talked about it last month. I recommended it at the end of Digest in the musical edit portion last month, where it's like this cool thing, and it's all like filmed on a computer screen. Well, it gives the illusion of that anyway. And there was like someone did an anime manga version of it, whereas it was a lot of live action in the original official music video. And I really like that song, that Cafeteria song. I listen to it all the time. I think it's great. So I like his music, which I think would make NakeyJakey extremely excited that somebody found his videos through his music rather than his music through his videos. Because there's a lot of YouTubers that try to get into music from analytical stuff, Digi, of course, being one of them. And like, I feel like the thing that would make Digi the happiest in the world was if somebody was like, I only know you for your music, that's all I care about. And I feel like a lot of people, because that's like their passion project more than shitty YouTube videos usually. So I think Mr. Jakey would be very happy if he were to hear that I got into his videos through his music and not the other way around. That being said, I watched in anticipation of this video because I like his music. I'm like, I want to like this guy, so I don't want to just jump into a negative Last of Us 2 video. I also got Miller to watch this video beforehand, and he told me what he says in the video and how he's pretty negative and all that stuff. So I was prepared. But then I watched Dogs in Video Games and Clothes in Video Games or something. I was just apt because he references the dogs in video game thing because he actually talks about The Last of Us in that video. That video came out like 3 years ago. The dogs in video games video was awful. It was bad. It wasn't funny. It was going for a lot of the comedy that just didn't land, talking about dogs. The random comedy we talked about Hypocrite getting right last month. NakeyJakey over here wasn't getting it very right. But then the second one, which I think was Clothes in Video Games, it was a lot better. Like the jokes landed a little better. I wasn't like laughing out loud, but he had clearly worked on his presentation. Like the first one was a 2017 video, the next one was a 2018 video, and it like made a lot of cool points. And basically, the analysis video theme that he goes with is like, this is some wacky stuff like clothes and games. I'm going to talk about clothes and games in a weird way in like 6 minutes, and dogs and games for a weird way in 6 minutes. So it's sort of like not supposed to be taken too seriously. It's supposed to be sort of a comedy thing. But yeah, that second video was better. Now, the Last of Us 2 video, obviously I disagree with nearly everything he says, but presentationally, it is fucking spectacular. It's really good. He has the motif of him sitting on a exercise ball the whole time. That's sort of like his YouTube gimmick. Because he's a pop YouTuber. He's very, like, popular. So he has to have, like, a weird YouTube gimmick from fucking 10 years ago that he still does. Like, the jokes are really funny in this when it lands. They always land. Like, the presentation, there was nothing cringy about this besides, like, the bad criticism. But that's cringy for it's just a disagreement thing. But, like, presentationally, the video is really good. It's really engaging. The editing is really well done. Presentationally, like, what I didn't like that about, like, that first video. The second video was a lot better. This video was really, really good at that. But I think people already know that. He's got, like, millions of subscribers. You almost assume this, like, level of professionalism, if you want to say it, this level of polish, I would think, in his videos. Now, he starts this video off. Now, this is a very negative video. He starts off with some things he likes about the games. He talks about how great accessible it is. He's very good at framing it very respectfully, but also being pretty brutal in his criticisms. Like, he talks about how he even has friends that worked on the game, that he loves a lot, and that, but he has this flaws, and he talks about how pretty it is, and the combat feeling good, I think. He has, like, a list of things he likes, and then he goes into a bunch of story stuff and mechanical stuff that he doesn't like. But he does that, but then he goes, like, it's an awful failure about everything it tries to do and things like that. And this video helped me understand what I like about the game a lot more. So I guess we'll just get into, like, I sort of starting it how he started it. The presentation is excellent. You should probably watch this video no matter what your feelings are on this game because it's cool. And I don't regret watching this video at all. But we may as well get into the criticism things that I think he said, some silly stuff. The biggest thing, now this made me have the realization that this is one of the reasons I like the game as much as I do. And why... How do we phrase this? It's like it helped me unlock another thing of, like, intrinsically why this game just worked on every single conceivable level for me. Firstly, actually, I want to talk about this thing. He sort of puts the people that love the game a lot and the people that hate the game for, like, no reason in the same camp of being two big extremes that are completely unreasonable, which that was, like, the thing that stuck with me the most, that annoyed me the most from the video, where I was like, are these things really the same? Like, people who haven't played the game really hating it and people who have played the game really liking it. Are these the, like, equivalents here? And we're going to be the impartial centrist here to tell you how it actually is. I don't know if it was this video or something else. There was another video, I think it was the Matthewmatosis video, where, like, the top comment was like, yeah, this game isn't that great, but it's not as bad as people say. And just like, ugh. Like, goddamn, this is the greatest video game ever made. And we'll prove it eventually in this game. Prove is a joke, right? We're not proving anything, this is art. But I'm gonna make that fucking is perfect video. And this fueled the fire, because I disagree with everything he says. Now let's get into this thing. The big realization I had watching this video that came from me addressing one of his criticisms is him talking about how the game manipulates you into feeling bad for making certain decisions, even though it makes you make these decisions. He talks about how in the Ellie Abby thing, you're forced to fight Ellie. You can't, like, let Ellie kill Abby. He talks a lot about player autonomy and player choice. And this is something a lot of people talk about a lot, and especially in criticism. This has been a historical criticism of Naughty Dog, about how, like, it's like you have no control in Naughty Dog games. You have no agency, and it's linear, so it gets away with it. But when you're trying to guilt trip the viewer in this way, the player rather, and have them do things that they don't want to do, and sort of like... He basically, the major point here is that you are not the player. Like, you are not playing as Abby. Abby is not you, and you are not Ellie either. And you are not Joel. It's sort of like the thing. Now, I think people fundamentally disagree with this, about how you're just playing a game. Because they'll immediately go to, then why isn't it a movie? Is like the response here. I think I'm doing an awful job explaining all of this. But one of his criticisms is, let me go back to the most basic, is that it makes you feel bad for things you have to do. Like, it's basically pretentious because the game is trying to make you feel bad and, like, judge you and wave its finger in your face about how violence is bad, even though it makes you do violence. It makes violence feel good in gameplay, and all this sort of stuff. And it's sort of supposed to be a commentary, NakeyJakey things on the player and saying, aren't you bad for doing all this violence in the video game? When that's not the theme at all. The most important thing about The Last of Us 2 is it is like Mad Men, in the fact that it has no theme. There is no lesson to be learned from The Last of Us 2. Neil Druckmann did not write down, this is what I want to say through The Last of Us Part 2. This is a very... I don't want to say this word, because I don't think it's an apt descriptor, but this is a very postmodern way of writing stories, where thematically... theming doesn't exist, basically. Like... You write a story and you don't have a reading of it. You don't have a theme in mind. Basically, what your theme is that that every different every audience member will have a different takeaway, basically. And the big thing is, you are watching a story take place and interacting in the gameplay sequences. You are not actually Abby, you are not actually Ellie. When the game judges Ellie and Abby for their actions, they're not judging you for making them do their actions, because the game knows that it's not you that made the decisions, it's the characters. Fuck. I feel like I was treading on the perfect way to explain this, but I fucked it up halfway through. The game is not judging you for killing everybody as Ellie. It's judging Ellie. You are not Ellie. It is not judging you, but a lot of video game players intrinsically think that who they're playing as is a representation of them, which actually might be explanatory for why they hate when women are like protagonists, because they can't relate to them as well, because they're not men. So how am I supposed to project that that's me if it's a black guy or a girl, or God forbid a black girl? But it's just stupid as fuck. It's just an old cliche assumption that's not real. You are not Ellie, you are not Abby. Like, Naughty Dog is not trying to wag its face its finger in your face. There is no theme here. It's not judging Ellie and saying, Ellie, revenge is bad. The message of this game is not revenge is bad. Like, you read that into it. That's what you think the game is about. That's your fault for taking such a boring reading of the game away. It's just like, it's just like there's some other really bad criticism. It's about Dina and Jesse being boring, which I disagree with entirely. It goes on a big thing about how stupid it is that Mel is getting deployed into combat when she's not getting deployed into combat rather. She was going to go on a 2-minute ride in the back of the van to the hospital because they need all the doctors, which she is a doctor, at the hospital because they're moving shit around because they're planning to invade the island. And then the counter argument to this would be, well, they should have expected that she was going to get into combat because they get ambushed all the time. But they only got ambushed by the Seraphites because they were pulling everybody back from their positions to get everybody together to invade the island. So the Seraphites were moving in, and that's why they're all over this city in the time period the game is on, when they probably shouldn't be. So it's not that they're lax or that people don't care or that people are like they think Mel, like it's an arbitrary reason for Mel to be in the story for her to go on this, even though she's pregnant. Like, they could have just made her be less pregnant if they thought this was an issue in the fucking writing of the game. But she was literally going to go in the back of that truck, get dropped off in 2 minutes, and be in the hospital with a lot of protection around her. So she wasn't getting deployed into combat, but he says this like multiple times. The point about Danny makes no narrative sense, but I think that might be his point. You can't kill Danny as Ellie because he wasn't near Ellie during that time. Who the fuck is Danny? Danny is like the dude with the scar on his face, right? The point about Danny, these are notes that I took while I was watching the video like 3 weeks ago, so bear with me. It's not about theme, it's about character. It's not about saying something, it's about showing you something, is another note I have here about like, there's this line that I remember, I think it might have been a Game of Thrones thing about like being true to characters is sort of the way you write things in sort of a postmodern mindset, where it's like, the story doesn't continue in a certain direction because thematically it has to be consistent and we have to work towards the theme being portrayed by the story. Instead, it's like, what would this character do? Now that we've established this first game with Ellie and Joel, now having removed ourselves from that, and I'm Neil Druckmann, what would those characters do in this situation? And that's more the plot of the game, is like, all right, Joel gets killed brutally in front of Ellie. What is Ellie going to do? Well, she's going to go on this revenge mission. Then confronted by perspective, what is Ellie going to do? She's going to double down because she's very stubborn. And then you do the whole Joel thing. She found out about Joel and it was all about her hating herself and all the thing. It wasn't actually about revenge the whole time. And that's the big reveal at the end, that they hadn't spoken to each other in years. And oh, fuck me. And it gets really complicated because the structure of the story is complicated and it's fucking awesome. And it's the greatest thing I've ever seen. I don't know if I'm getting these ideas across as well, because there's a bunch of foundations you have to work through here that I didn't lay out at the beginning because I didn't take detailed notes because we're trying to go through digest quicker than usual, which I think we're succeeding in. But I think that the majority of my point here is that the video is actually really well made and everything. It's just the criticism I disagree with. So I would encourage you to watch this video. I like it a lot. But like, the big thing he has is, like, he has on the board, like, oh, and they just want to tell us the same boring elementary school fucking messages about the cycle of violence and revenge and perspective and things like that. And it's like, no, it's not trying to do anything thematically. It never makes it explicit, any sort of theming thing. It's a bunch of shit that people read into when they saw the fucking outline of the revenge plot, but it was never actually a revenge plot about anything. Abby doesn't give a fuck about Ellie. She doesn't even know who the fuck Ellie is. That's such a great part that, like, until Abby arrives at the theater, she thinks it's all just Tommy. She literally doesn't even know who Ellie is. And it all plays into the thing at the very end of the game where they get off the cross. Oh, it's so good. Don't worry, I'll explain all of this in the fucking video, in the perfect video. Like, it's all about the characters. Like, everything, like the cycle of violence, it's not about condemning the cycle of violence and saying humans are bad because they kill each other. It's about, what does the cycle of violence do about Ellie and say about Ellie? What would Ellie do in this scenario, and what does that say about who she is? And exploring who Ellie is, just like Abby in the same way. And Joel in the intermediary parts that he's actually in the game. It's about character, not theme, is an important thing. That's sort of the way I counted all of his criticisms in my head, really. Because he goes on the big thing. He talks about how gameplay feels good to, like, kill things. So, like, if the game's theme is about violence being bad, why are you making it so fun to kill? Like, the game's theme is not about violence being bad. Like, it's sort of assumed in that the violence is cathartic in a way, and also, like, terrifying, and it can sort of be both things. Like, this is not a commentary on violence or the cycle of hatred. If anything thematically is being said, it's just that everybody has a perspective, and everybody thinks they're equally justified on different lengths. And you don't understand their story, and you don't assume certain things about their story. And everybody, there's a lot about communication in there, about how, like, this whole revenge mission is about Ellie, like, explaining to Abby how much Joel meant to her, and it's sort of all about Joel. Everything's about Joel. It's so good. It's so great. Everything about this fucking game is a 20 out of 10. And I could go on about it for days. But I think we've done a pretty poor job explaining the video. I feel like it's completely justified by the fact that I'm telling you to watch the video yourself, and this isn't like a response video, so me sort of stammering around here, not getting the points out as well, is justified. But yeah, sort of the slow, like, me watching that first dogs video and being like, oh no, I don't like him already. And the Co's video being like, alright, this is pretty good. And the video of, even though, like, the way he narrates it is really good, his timing is really good, the aesthetic is really good. I just, like, you should watch this video. Presentationally, I'm very excited if he comes out with other videos. I know he has one of these types of videos about game design being outdated. About Red Dead. I'd be interested to watch that, since I have no attachment to Red Dead, and I'll probably take his criticisms on board because I don't have to defend that shit. I don't even like that shit. So, I wonder what my impression would be about that video compared to this one. And any videos he makes in the future. So NakeyJakey is definitely on the radar. We'll definitely cover his videos in the future when we get to them eventually. But that's about all I have to say about this video, I think. Maybe this is one of the ones I should have rewatched in greater detail to make more, like, old digest notes that we talk about this video for half an hour, though I think we've talked about it for a pretty long time. But with that being said, we still got 2 Last of Us 2 videos to get into, but this is the end of the recording session for me, so hallelujah. We're going through these videos pretty quickly, I feel. Usually we would be through, like, 4 videos by this point, but we're through, like, nearly, like, 7 or 8, but that's good, alright? So I'll see you all in a second. So as we just said, we're going to keep on keeping on here. My second of hopefully 2 recording sessions. Whoa, digest be short as fuck today. We're moving on. We've still got Last of Us 2 videos to go through. We've got Games as Literature, is The Last of Us Part 2, One Big Guilt Trip, by Games as Literature, that came out on October the 27th, 2020. See, on, like, last month's version, we wouldn't have covered this video probably because it came out too late in the month, but I think we've circumvented that flaw in the system here. So this is another video about The Last of Us 2, of course. A topic close to our hearts here, apparently, because we've got another video about it coming up next from Wisecrack. But this video isn't really... He even says this. I want to talk about games literature as a channel before we dive too deep into this, but he even says this in the intro of the video about how this isn't about whether or not the game is good or not, and him just talking about the titular statement of what he thinks the intent was. And we have a big thing about intent that we'll get into in a future video, probably, that explains my thoughts on authorial intent and all that sort of stuff in much greater detail. But he wants to talk in this video about whether or not it's intended for you to be guilt-tripped, if you can put it that way, in The Last of Us 2. Obviously, the answer he comes to is no. I'm pretty sure most people with a brain would come to the conclusion that no. And basically, this video is a whole build-up just to say that you are not Ellie and you are not Abby, which was the issue that the NakeyJakey video that we just talked about had in a lot of its like rundown of the game and how it was looking at the game, and why a lot of his issues were explained away by this weird obsession that gamers particularly seem to have. It's because it's an interactive medium, but obviously it's a little stupid. This sort of intrinsic connection to the character you're playing, as in viewing that person as you or an avatar for you, when gamers seem to dually hold this position and also want characters to be more interesting than just plain audience surrogates. There's sort of a conflict here. But this video sort of explains this. Let's talk about games as literature first, because I think the first video, and maybe the only other video of theirs that I ever saw, was the Last of Us 1 video. Now, it's not that popular of a channel. This video only has like 4,000 or 5,000 views, if I'm not mistaken. That original Last of Us 2 video, I think, has 95,000 views, and he's got a few bigger videos, and a lot of his other videos don't get as many views. But the whole gimmick is he's like this weird jumble of like YouTube stereotypes and like analysis video stereotypes as well, and sort of gaming review stereotypes, where his character is that he's like this professor dude here to talk about games as literature, and how professors would usually say games can't be art or whatever. Roger Ebert's Ghost, everybody's scared of it. Endless Jest has talked about this before. You know the drift. New Endless Jest videos that I haven't watched yet because I have to film this fucking shitty. I said film, record this shitty fucking digest episode. But we'll get to the Endless Jest videos eventually. But to sort of do the thing where, like, actually this is a professor who's looking at games at literature and actually giving them the go-round. I don't think he's an actual professor. I think that's like the gimmick. So he's sort of like, his intro sort of plays into this. The outfit, like, he wears like a suit, but his tie is like a video gamey tie, so it's sort of like a weird. He's put an effort into it here, but it's sort of like a jumble, and he's also like incredibly wholesome, for a lack of a better word. He's not trying to come across overly wholesome, but he's just very impartial and nice about everything he says. So it's like this weird, angry video game nerd thing of thinking you have to be a character, this nostalgia critic thing of thinking you have to be a character. He's also just giving his opinion, and he's going through as nicely as possible. It's sort of like a weird conflict where like the gimmick of the channel is wrapped into the outfit, and like you sort of have to digest this or have some sort of understanding to click on it. And his titling is sort of like that too. So I'm not sure if this might all be hurting the ability for his channel to grow. I don't know. I've only got fucking 3,000 subscribers or whatever. Do we have 3,000 subscribers? Who's checked recently? But dog outside is going crazy right now. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. I liked this video. I liked his previous Last of Us video, but I feel like I watched that like 3 years ago, and his videos have just been perpetually cropping up in my subscription feed, and I've never watched them, other ones. So it's not as captivating. Like, I don't think this video is like one of the best videos of the month or anything. It just lays out this very basic point. He talks about the positives and the negatives of the game too. I feel like I had more to say about the conceit of the video and things surrounding that, but I've forgotten them now. But it's the risk we take in taking less notes now, so this can be more brief. But I think we like the brevity of it more than whatever the fuck else I had to say. I'm pretty sure I got through most of the actual things, because my notes literally say talk about games as literature is in the channel. This video is not explicitly about whether or not the game is good or bad, but it's about the titular statement. The answer is no. We went over this point in the NakeyJakey video when we talked about that. Also, nobody wants to take a hard stand on this game. I've noticed a lot of the people, there's two types of Last of Us 2 videos. People who are scared and want to like sort of make a commentary on the game and be in the middle, or be on either side but be very cordial. And then there's the very extreme people who are either saying the game is great or the game is bad. To be fair, I haven't seen any of them talking about how great the game is, like the incredibly toxic nature of that. I'm sure they exist, and that's the video I hope to make, so I'm not like judging anybody like this, but obviously we've seen a lot of negative ones that are really stupid. The Angry Joe one, I'm trying to think of other ones, all the Joel death ones, or the pre-game coming out mad ones. But a lot of them seem to be even in the middle. Even Donkey, who gave the game a really good review, he was sort of in the middle. No, he was more to the positive side. But the Girlfriend Reviews is like a very steady, like, I understand why this game may make you uncomfortable. And this and the Wisecrack video we'll talk about in a second both do that as well. So it's interesting seeing. I feel like nobody has a spine, and sort of like, If this game had come out and everybody had been glowing about it, except for sort of the people who didn't like the first game, so sort of the gameplay-centric people who don't really like the type of games Naughty Dog makes, because they already didn't like it. There's a whole myriad of people who are intrinsically not going to like the game because it's a Naughty Dog game, because of the representation angle, because they don't like Neil Druckmann. I'll talk about all of this in my Big Last of Us 2 video. That'll come out never. But, where was I going with that? People who intrinsically dislike the game, but sort of, I know it lost a lot of the audience that did like the first game, because the first game is very safe and easy, and like, haha, father-daughter, we can all relate to that, and this is far more messy and far more interesting. Where was I building up to at this point? Oh, I was going to the point where, like, if this game had come out, and if the Joel thing hadn't leaked beforehand, and, like, everybody had liked it, like, if it had a similar reaction to the reaction the first game had, I feel like most of these reviews would be far more positive. And I feel like people are sort of going to the center to sort of placate their audience, because nobody wants to come out. Also, there is an audience of people, and I would be one of them, that want to come out with the extreme arguments, and sort of people who want to go down the middle. And it's sort of like, I feel like a lot of reaction to everything that humans do is sort of tantamount to what other people are doing, and not even trying to fit in like consciously, but sort of subconsciously, like just letting the general opinion cloud like your expectations. Maybe it is that, though I don't buy into the expectation thing as much as most people do. It's very weird, because we can never measure this, right? You can never like go into the world where the game didn't get leaked to see if it maybe somehow is a more negative response or a more positive response, or what would have been going on. But this game is, the reaction to it is it's not nearly as good as the game. It's not nearly as interesting as the game, but it is an interesting part of the game's impact and everything surrounding it. But now we're talking about the game more so than this video. There's a point where he brings up how sort of this whole conceit of this discussion is about the game making you feel bad for the decisions that Ellie and Abby and Joel make in both this and the first game. I've never felt bad once playing like The Last of Us 2. Like when Ellie beats the shit out of Nora, like I'm not, so I just don't do that about media a lot. Like I can't think, like the only thing is the Eclipse that's ever like remotely affected me in that way. And that's like the most extreme example of characters perfectly built up for you to care about, and then terrible things happen to them. Like Joel dying, like I've told the story before about how I did feel the hatred and shit like that, but like I was loving every fucking second of it, because I couldn't believe how well done it was, and how like the fact that they actually did it, and how fucking ballsy I thought it was, and how I was just in love with it immediately, smirking. I remember tweeting, literally shaking. The literal shakening was happening when Joel got killed, and I was so excited and so happy. It's like not once in the game did I feel like uncomfortable playing it, or the fact that like, oh no, I feel so bad. Like it's just, I feel like it's an intrinsic way a lot of people experience media, but it's like a clear difference I have to like everybody, and it's weird. And I don't relate to people when they say this at all. Like they felt bad for killing the dog. It's like, it takes 2 seconds for me. Like if I feel bad for the dog for 2 seconds, then I realize, haha, dog not real, doesn't matter. Like I feel like I can do that with all art, and like easily be out of the emotional mindset. I guess besides Casca, but that's something I'll probably explore, and just like the thought process behind that and the different ways of thinking about that, all in future videos. People are saying bad faith all the time now. It's become an increasing trend for people to incorporate bad faith into their vocabulary. It's been in like the political sphere for a very long time, obviously bad faith argumentation, and in the philosophy debate sphere for fucking ever. But now it's sort of come into art discussion, and it's interesting how it has. I'm starting to notice a lot of people saying that a bad faith criticism of the game is this. People have started to like identify a word to use. Or maybe people have been using it forever and this is just the first time hearing of it. But I feel like a lot more people are using bad faith as a thing. I remember doing it in my Gabby video ages ago. The morally justified video, I did it a lot. But yeah, it's just an interesting trend I picked up on. This is not your story. It's just another thing. I was probably watching the review when I came up with that line. But that's all I really have to say about that that video. Oh, look, we're 11 minutes in. So let's keep moving on. Now we got the Wisecrack video. The real reason Last of Us 2 is so divisive by Wisecrack. October the 16th, 2020. It's more of a mid-month. It's exactly a mid-month video rather than a late-month video. But Wisecrack, this is interesting because we have to talk about Wisecrack as in general. Wisecrack, my history with Wisecrack is they made a few Berserk videos that I thought were pretty good in like 2016 or something. And they made some other videos that I thought were pretty good that I can't remember right now. But they're this weird blend. And when you get these more popular analysis video channels, video essay channels, like the really popular ones, like I think Wisecrack has like more than 1 million subscribers easily, right? I'm actually not sure about that. Maybe I'll look that up right now. But they're, again, sort of like the games is literature dude, even though he's not as popular, nowhere near as popular. Where it's sort of this weird mesh of good and terrible. Yeah, it's nearly 3 million. Of good and terrible, like YouTube stereotypes. Like, Wisecrack is knowledgeably bad, is what I made the, I don't dislike this video, but I said Wisecrack is knowledgeably bad. That was my first note here. It's got the terrible YouTube pop aesthetic without the smoothness of The Take or something. The Take is a similar channel, which we still haven't covered any of their videos on the channel, which is, alarming. Though I've only seen their Madman videos, so their newer stuff or their stuff about other things could be bad. But they sort of have the general YouTube poppy aesthetic, but they like pull it off better. There's a bunch of really like bad things this video does. Firstly, there's a Raid Shadow Legends ad that isn't that bad, but I just wanted to point it out because the comments were particularly mad about how it was an unironic Raid Shadow Legends fucking ad. So that was funny. That was something But like the unapologetic shilling, I'm pretty sure the writer of these videos isn't the narrator. And the narrator comes off as like the most like, what do you call it? Inauthentic person imaginable. Awfully unfunny jokes. The delivery is like good. It's like standard emotional delivery. It's like, I would say it's better than most of my narration because it has proper enunciation and it knows when to emphasize certain words. And there's a flow to it. Clearly, like this took multiple takes and there was probably like a fucking voice director or whatever in the studio with him. But like, it also comes off inauthentic because of that and because of. It's almost as bad as like when you're watching a more poppy YouTube analysis essay and like they get a name wrong that they really shouldn't get wrong if they were actually the person that wrote the script or was into the thing. I feel like this happens with Watch Mojo a lot, where obviously it's like the same two voices who just narrate things. They don't have any, maybe they're like writers too on the team, but obviously because Watch Mojo is like about everything, you can't be familiar with everything, so they'll just fuck up names because they have no idea what they're talking about. They're just reading from a script. That's what this feels like. And this is not inherently bad, but it does come off inauthentic and I think does overall hurt the quality of the video. Because this isn't the voice I remember from the Berserk videos. And they have like shots of him like talking into the microphone at certain parts and he's smiling and it's just like, who is this? What are you doing? Why are you smiling like this? What are you so happy about? It's just this weird like fake jovial, like, I'm on camera now, time to smile like a news anchor who's about to introduce something and be just as wooden. So it's a little weird. I have written down here good narration, but also cringe narration. But it's also good because it's such an established channel and there's probably like a writing team or something, or even just one writer who's very knowledgeable, or at least it seems. Again, I'm not an expert in fucking philosophy, but seems knowledgeable in philosophy. Like, they reference books and, like, different works of philosophical literature all the time, that, like, a usual YouTube essayist, it feels professional is what I'm trying to say. Like, a normal YouTube essayist feels very amateur, so if they're referencing one book, it'll just be, hey, I read this book and this was what it had to say about something. Or they will reference other piece of media and how, like, to get the message across. But this video is all about empathy and, like, referencing different positions on empathy and, like, philosophical, what do you call it? Fucking intellectualism, like, in professors of philosophy. What particular word am I looking for that fits this? By experts, by whatever. By the experts in the field about philosophy, like, about empathy being, like, what empathy is and empathy being bad and things like that. He references different things. About empathy, like, there's one person who wrote a book, one philosopher who wrote a book about how empathy is limits people's ability to think properly and things like that. So they bring that up, and they also bring up, I think it's cognitive empathy and something else, and they explain how these two different types of empathy and how they work usually in games and how The Last of Us 2 uses them, and it's so divisive because it's trying to make you think about empathy and sort of things like that. Thematically, I think it's a pretty alright analysis of the game and everything like that. But it offers this unique perspective because whoever wrote the script has this background in philosophy that they could offer up. That other people could do this, but nobody else is doing this. Remember the portrait video from last month? Like, sort of like that, but that felt more amateur and that felt more authentic. Because, I don't know, it didn't have all these poppy YouTube aesthetic, terrible fucking nonsense. But that person is doing it just like these guys are. But, it feels, and because the narrator, again, I think we talked about this probably in the first digest more, about, like, the impartial narrator, just, like, it's trying to almost frame the opinion as objective, but not. Like, they'll preface it by saying, this is not objective, art is subjective, whatever the fuck, everybody can have their own opinion. But sort of like they're not trying to insult people, just trying to ride the line again. Like, all of that is incorporated here. I think you would get the inauthentic, if you watch this video for even a second, you'll get the inauthentic, like, description I'm making here. But the philosophy stuff sort of makes it worth it. So the video, I think the video is like 12 minutes or something. It's fine. It's just it's basic, but it's exploring it in a way with sort of like a philosophical backing that's interesting, at least a little. Just about the perspective shift and how it's trying to make you feel about Abby and Ellie and all that stuff. But I think that's about all we have to say. It's just interesting that I watched this Wisecrack video, and it's like, the weird YouTube aesthetic, the unique things to the YouTube, like, genre of video creation, and sort of how, like, good and bad this can mix in with different other, like, analytical type things and this philosophy stuff. It's interesting sometimes to keep a hold of, and whether or not these videos are actually good or not. Video was okay. Presentation probably needs some work, and the presentation only needs some work because they've, like, nailed it down to, like, rinse and repeat every week so they can get a video out every week, or probably more. So it's like this video is indistinguishable from the next 3 videos they're going to make and the previous 10 videos they're going to make, because they've got it down to a formula and they're not diverting. So they have multiple narrators hired and multiple writers hired, so they can just pump out the same stuff over and over again. It's what it feels like. Again, I don't know. I haven't seen that many Wisecrack videos. We'll see if we watch more in the future. But we're moving on here out of The Last of Us 2. Now we got a Matthewmatosis, the Death Stranding review by, you guessed it, Matthewmatosis. From October the 14th, 2020. That's right, we did have a Matthewmatosis video this month. And we've talked about him being the best at this thing we do, or one of the best at least, in the video game sphere. Now, this isn't my favorite video of his. I don't think this one was particularly engaging. It felt more like a run-of-the-mill Matthewmatosis video, which I feel like the average Matthewmatosis video doesn't feel like. But it could be my unfamiliarity with Death Stranding overall. Like, this was the first video I felt like I understood what Death Stranding was. I saw, like, the trailers and stuff. I knew the backstory about Kojima and things like that. But, like, and then I knew it was like a walking simulator, transportation thing. I had seen that, and I'd seen there was also some gun combat or something, and I was confused on what you actually do in the game. So this was sort of my first understanding of what the game actually was, and he goes through a bunch of that stuff at the very beginning about how it's no more a package, what do you call it, package delivery simulator any more than Mario is a star collecting simulator, and sort of it's what you do between that's entertaining. And he talks about how this game basically has one great feature, and it gamifies movement and sort of has movement be type of the gameplay instead of just in an open world game where getting in a Far Cry game or something, getting from outpost to outpost is just you getting in a car or running, and it's well, we're just holding down the straight button, and this isn't very engaging. It's just a period between things where you actually do things. In this game, movement is actually the thing you do. So it's moving around isn't about getting between place and place. It's actually the gameplay is how you move and whether you can move and balancing things and sort of things like that. And it's insane. And he sort of goes on to say this, that this game would have never got funded if it wasn't a Kojima idea. This is a wholly unique thing that probably shouldn't have ever existed, was nearly impossible for it to ever exist, which is this fully funded triple A fucking first party Sony exclusive fucking weird movement fucking game. With an equally outlandish story as we're used to with Kojima games. I say we, but I've never played a Kojima game. Besides the Metal Gear Solid 5 fucking preview game. Or whatever that was. The game with 2 missions. Before Phantom Pain actually came out. I always forget the name of the first thing. Ground Zeroes or whatever it was called. I played that one. I had no idea what was going on. But it's but it's just a testament of uniqueness that this game exists, and it's sort of baffling that a game about this concept exists, and sort of reveling in that is a little fun. This is the most emotional Matthewmatosis I've ever seen. He gets pretty mad here at the idea of characters scanning themselves into games and things surrounding that. He brings up an interesting point about how a downfall of actors in general, live action actors, is the fact that they are the same person. So if you've seen 2 movies with the same actor in it, it's sort of, you've got to play this game in your brain a little bit of hey, that's not the person from the previous movie I saw. This is a completely different character. Even though it's an actor that you probably know something about in real life, that's played 2 different characters, it's sort of, you've just got to internalize that, and sort of how movie producers and directors try to hide that by doing makeup and making 2 different, I don't know, Adam Driver characters look different in 2 different movies, Kylo Ren and the dude from Marriage Story. We've got to try and differentiate them so you're not thinking about Kylo Ren while you watch a Marriage Story, since Kylo Ren is since Star Wars is this thing everybody's seen, and they're coming in with this prepackaged knowledge and things like that. And sort of how games intrinsically get away from that, at least visually. Obviously, through voice acting, it can be a problem a lot of times. People like to say that Laura Bailey and Troy Baker in every fucking video game, and it's just them acting with themselves against themselves over and over again. So it has that issue of voice acting, but sort of how it intrinsically gets away from this visual fuckery. But scanning an actor's face into it doesn't get rid of that. It just adds this unnecessary issue of familiarity, and it sort of feels like you're jerking yourself off because that's the dude you recognize. And it sort of more becomes about their face and things like that. He talks about how Guillermo del Toro is in the game, but he doesn't voice himself or anything because I don't think he speaks that much English, or without a heavy accent. So it's just his face being acted by a different voice, and it's weird stuff like that, and it feels self-indulgent. Now, this is a relatively, I don't really think this is that big of an issue, but Matthewmatosis is, the maddest I've ever seen him about this particular issue. He's committed to the fact that the facial animations look bad, but I just don't see it. He has on this big thing about how you're lying to yourself if you don't think the facial animations look bad. And I sort of saw it the second time, but the first time through, and I'm gathering... for most people, the first time they're playing the game through, they don't think the facial animations look bad. And he got some pushback about that, and I know that's been a debate in the Death Stranding thing. It's sort of a big debate in gaming in general about realism and how, even if you go back and look at, Last of Us 1 footage, it, looks awful now that you're accustomed to The Last of Us 2 like models and shit like that. There's even some of that when I go back and look at Uncharted 4 footage. So it's like, Jesus Christ, in like 3 years, all the realistic like aesthetic that we think is like great and near perfect, like in the past here, 3 years before the fictional future we're talking about now. Like everything's gonna, if you choose to do realism, you're gonna look dated in like 5 years at the least. And it's very interesting to think about. As like, and that's Nate's gone on about this a million times about realism being a bad aesthetic for games, and the games going for realism sucks, and they should prioritize art styles and things like that. It's just interesting to think about. But right now we're in the bubble, so we don't know what the fuck looks good and what looks bad. And eventually you'd think you would get to the point where it's nearly like the uncanny valley is gone, or maybe we can never get rid of it, and eventually, and they will always look a little off. We'll just have to see, I guess, how we keep improving the old video games. But it's usually a selling point to have realistic graphics. For whatever reason, the market has decided they prioritize that, so we've got to pander to that in most AAA games, and that's why the aesthetic thing doesn't fly anymore. But this overall is a Matthewmatosis video. Not my favorite of his videos, but the 50 minutes are interesting the whole time. Though he analyzes is still interesting in the way he writes, is still infuriating in the way it's better than everybody else. He even has one of the cute, cool final lines that I talk about all the time, how it like wraps everything together with the theme and says the good and bad about of the game just about maintained balance. Get it? Because the game's about balancing. Hilarious, and I'm unironically envious of these final lines. But he just brings in from all the different, like he has, it's sort of like we were talking about with the Wisecrack video before this, with the philosophy stuff and how they can bring in sort of this, they have this unique background and this unique context in philosophy that like the average person doesn't have. So it's unique to offer that in a video, to give us a unique perspective on what can make this piece of art interesting, and a different window to look through it at. And Matthewmatosis has this from the video game lens of like, it feels like he's played every fucking video game. He starts this video talking about a game I can't even remember the name of, where it's sort of the same concept of everybody working together in this online space to create something big, which Death Stranding sort of fails at. And he sort of goes into that, and he talks about a bunch of games, even one that's discontinued that relied on that, and sort of how and he explores how Death Stranding will be after like the servers are turned off. And like how much that'll change the game and all these elements, and whether or not they're even really online, or maybe it's just a false facade or whatever, and therefore when the servers go offline nothing will really change. And just like the continuous references to like other games to sort of that are trying to do similar things, and how they either do it better or worse than the game he's talking about. He always does it. It's always great. It's like, it feels like you're getting fucking your fill of unironic good game analysis. It's hard to find. But I think overall, it's about all I had to say about it. It's a Matthewmatosis video if you're interested in Death Stranding or Matthewmatosis at all, or good writing. You probably already watched it. He's not, I was going to say he's exceedingly popular, but I think he's still at like 200,000 subscribers. But I think the word of mouth regarding him is always like, everybody that talks about him or knows about him loves him. More than more popular channels. But we're moving on here to another Errant Signal video, who we covered in the first digest, but I don't think the second one, where we talked about his Firewatch video. That was a super old video. We got a newer one here, one that came out this month, by God, at the very end of the month. The Polite Horror of Pamali, I can't remember if that's how you say it, by Errant Signal, October the 29th, 2020. We definitely wouldn't have done this one this month, last month rather, seeing how late into the month it came out. But this, I don't have a lot to say about this video, and I don't think this video is particularly great. It just highlights an interesting thing that video analysis can do. Where this is a weird Indonesian-made, an Indonesian folklore-inspired horror game that And it's interesting because it's like a very underground niche game that he can sort of highlight on his channel that he's grown and sort of get a bunch of people to play it that wouldn't have played it beforehand. It's not like even the Death Stranding video that we just talked about, where it's like, well, everybody knows about Death Stranding. If you're into games, you've heard about it. You heard about the Kojima stuff. So it's like making a review of that game probably helps you more than it helps the game. Whereas I feel like this Errant Signal video probably helps the game more than it even helps him. I don't even know if the video views on this video are that high. Let's fucking check it. I've got the link right in front of me. I'll punch it in here and see how many views it's got. It's sort of this platforming, like, underground art that you appreciate or find unique in some way, and the fact that this is an Indonesian-made game inspired by Indonesian, like, folklore and horror stuff that you're probably not very familiar with, that you can learn through the game, which is something he talks about. 22,000 views, not bad. He's got 160,000 subscribers. It's okay. I don't think it's doing as well as his usual videos. Let me click on it, since the only other video of his I've watched is the Firewatch video. But no, it's doing roughly as good as the one before it, but this is on a game called Blips that I'm not familiar with. His Fortnite video has like 75,000 views. So it's not performing that it didn't hurt his channel or anything to cover this. He didn't go out on a limb for these people. But he had some interesting things to say about it. The game itself didn't look that interesting to me, but I don't think I've ever played a horror game. And I don't think I'm that into like adventure games, which this sort of connects the two, because it's sort of like you go in the house, in the spooky house, you got to find the thing that lets you do this thing, and then like after the 3 days are up or whatever, you move on. It's also like a, what do you call it when it's like a movie collection thing where you go through and you see all of them? What was Death Proof by Quentin Tarantino part of? It was part of this duo with this other movie. It was supposed to be like a Roadhouse, like whatever the fuck. Compilation or whatever. That's not the exact word, but that's what it is. It's like 4 mini stories in one game that you pay for. It's all about Indonesian stuff, and sort of it talks about how certain Indonesian scary myths have sort of made it into horror movies and things like that, and how they're referenced here. Talks about I remember him talking about this translation feature where everything is written in Indonesian, but it seems to be mainly have been a game made for an English audience, so you just have to click like translate on everything, and everything gets translated in the game. So it's just sort of like this extra sense of realism, that because the game's set in Indonesia, everything's not written in English, it's written in Indonesian until you click the translate thing. I thought that was a cool, neat little detail. It's 4 different horror stories, and he goes through which ones he likes the most and which one he doesn't. There's a weird action one at the end he said he didn't like as much. That was interesting. Sort of like this flying monster going around. But I feel like this is the most unique element. The selling point of this video and that he has for the game is this is also a pretty decent vehicle to learn about sort of and analyze the differences between scary myths between Eastern and Western culture and sort of this Indonesian versus American or British or Australian culture, and sort of how it's a lot about respecting the dead, and the ghosts don't fuck with you in Indonesian culture or in this game unless you start disrespecting them. Sort of the weird Eastern tradition of prioritizing respect, not just respect for the dead, but respect in general for people above you or older than you or things like that. And it's just an interesting, if you're interested in an Indonesian horror game or a video about Indonesian horror games, this is, if that's appealing to you at all, I feel like you'll be listening to this and you'll have already looked up this video. But if you are at all, this video exists. And it was a new Errant Signal video, and I was interested because of his Firewatch video, so I watched this one. This didn't blow me away. Again, not one of the best videos of the month or something like that. Just an unique little, gem of a video that showcases a bunch of different things, a bunch of different interesting things that video essays can do, and highlighting lesser-known games, and sort of highlighting the unique art out there, where there is art being made in Indonesia. There is video games being made in Indonesia with Indonesian influences, sort of comparing, I guess this is an art thingy, where it's or just a sort of, I don't know, a left thing or a postmodern thing of realizing that everything in society is constructed, and interestingly peeking into another society that was sort of constructed independently of sort of the more Western influenced ones we all live under, and how they approach every different little bit of art differently. Because obviously a lot of the games, well, I guess in Japan is Eastern, but this is a more, it's a unique perspective is what we're trying to say here. It's a unique game about a unique subject matter made in a unique people in the games industry that you wouldn't expect. When was the last time you played an Indonesian-made game? Probably never. So that's the thing. It's a little unique, interesting look. So if you like that, you're interested in that anymore at all, there's the Errant Signal video. Moving on, we've got the Gamer from Mars, The Legend of Twitch Plays Pokemon, full documentary by The Gamer from Mars, October the 11th, 2020. Now, I used to get these two confused because I used to think this guy was Big Joel, but he's not. He's the Gamer from Mars, apparently. So in my head, this is who I thought of when I thought of Big Joel. I didn't know much about Big Joel. I can't really remember any Big Joel videos I've seen. But it was interesting where I was like, oh, it's this dude. I thought he was Big Joel. You were wrong. But I don't know if we would have covered this in the last two digests. But now, with the new outlook and sort of embracing less specifically art-related content and just highlighting cool YouTube analytical things, a documentary about this, I think, makes it on the list here and has a valid place to be talked about, and it's interesting enough for me to recommend to everybody here on Digest and talk about. This is like a 50-minute documentary. I don't know how popular this was. Let me poke this in. I've seen some of this dude's videos before. I just thought they were Big Joel. I can't remember what I saw. I think he's done some political stuff that I've seen before. And a Manscaped ad. Hold on. This has 300,000 views. And it just sort of goes through. I feel like everybody knows that Twitch Plays Pokemon was a thing. But I was like 12 in 2014 when this shit was happening. So I didn't like entirely. Like, I wasn't keeping up with it. I didn't think I even had a Twitch account. Like, I think my first exposure to Twitch Plays Pokemon was the video Jaywitz made afterwards. That was, like, top 10 moments from Twitch Plays Pokemon, where he sort of explains what it was and goes through how it was difficult and the basic concept of, like, chat controls the fucking thing. And it's like, oh, that is unique. But this sort of goes through the history of the lore behind it and, like, the Reddit and shit like that and the lore that the community made up behind it and sort of things, and different players coming in and fucking with it, like Destiny fucking with it, who I had no idea was involved in all of this. Destiny, the streamer, who gets interviewed for this. It's clear that there's been a lot of research and, like, effort has gone into like making this video. I just saw on the recommended here, there's a history of Twitch Plays Pokemon Crystal over here. It's by a different channel. I don't know, maybe that would be interesting. It's not the most captivating documentary in the world, sort of going through the behind-the-scenes drama and the fact that, like, the creator is, like, a NEET who doesn't go anywhere and is scared and didn't want to, like, do an interview, and the sort of how he would treat his staff weird and badly, and one of them came out and had, like, a live mic or whatever, and sort of all these weird lore moments of, like, just how this all unraveled. I guess if you don't know what Twitch Plays Pokemon is, I guess rather than me explaining it, you should go and watch this thing. It's basically where Twitch chat controlled, they would type in up, down, A, B, start, select, or whatever the fuck. The keys on an original Game Boy as the streamer emulated Pokemon Red, and, like, sort of mayhem broke loose of them trying to finish the game together, while everybody, like, trolls can very easily come in and fuck with it, which happens later when they release a bunch of Pokemon by fucking around and trolling. But there's a lot of interviews gone in, like the creator, I don't want to call him the Gamer from Mars every time I want to say his fucking name. He, like, has reached out to a lot of the people involved and gotten statements from them. These cool little animated parts that break up the segmented parts of the video. I'm looking at it now. Maybe I should open most of these videos beforehand. But it's just sort of an interesting look back, like, 6 years later at a weird, like, period in internet history where, like, for like a week and a half, the whole internet was, like, going mental over Twitch Plays Pokemon, and, like, the subreddit exploded, he talks about, and all the different things like that. And sort of everybody being invested. Now, this channel still exists, and I think it's still going, like, 24/7, Twitch Plays Pokemon. And they've played through most of the games, but it gets, like, 60 viewers now, whereas it was, like, the most watched thing on Twitch ever, back when it did this, I think he says in the video, where it had, like, 100,000 people. Now, fucking Hassan had fucking 200,000 fucking concurrent viewers yesterday when the election was going on. The election's still not called yet, by the way. But that's a weird interjection. Just talking about Twitch viewership here. And we got 52 viewers one time on our Twitch stream when we were reviewing a particularly popular Attack on Titan chapter, a fucking shitty Errant one. But that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. But 50 times what gets 100,000? That's how many we were behind Twitch Plays Pokemon. One day we will be the people. I'll be the one with 100,000 views, and you idiots will be fucking watching. That's what I gotta say. But it's just an interesting insight in this old internet thing that you probably don't think about much, that you may have forgotten about, but it goes through basically everything here. It's a 1 minute full documentary, and it feels like that. It's very well produced. It's very well put together. Sometimes the delivery of the narration isn't the best. Like the intro's a little cringe. I can't remember if I thought the final line was bad. For whatever reason, I feel like I have something to say there. The narration isn't the best. The way he narrates is very wooden. It reminds me of Alexander, the anime dude, where his it's like a weirdly, I don't know, nasally isn't the word I'm looking for, but it's the only word I can think of. Like weird, like enunciation of certain words and things like that. But whatever, I recommend this video. It's pretty cool. I thought it was pretty decent. Again, not one of the better videos, but out of the videos I've said it's not one of the better videos of the month, this is probably the best out of those. But I don't think I have much more to say about the video gamer from Mars here. I'm interested to check out other documentaries made. I know he has like a list, like 100 YouTubers that have died. That seems interesting. Etika's on there, and things like that. And I was like, maybe I'll click on that. He seemed to have a bunch of other videos that I thought were mildly interesting, so we've subscribed to him. I think we were already subscribed to him. So if he comes out with anything interesting in the future, you got another weird documentary like this, we'll check it out, and maybe we'll put it on Digest. But moving on, we got Forrest Sowa now. Sowa? Why the fuck am I fucking up the name? It is Sowa, I'm pretty sure. I don't even know if that's Forrest's real name. Who knows? It could be a screen name. We got 2 Forrest videos that we're going to talk about in tandem. The next 3 segments here, we're going to talk about 2 videos in tandem. We got the IWGP Heavyweight Championship History, the 1980s by Forrest. This was from September the 29th, 2020. So it was a last month video that's carried over into this month. And then the G1 Climax Awards, which was an October 24th, 2020 video. Again, I have been in contact with Forrest since the last digest. We've talked a lot about wrestling, a bit about wrestling, and sort of different videos. He sent me a script of a video that's coming out soon. He actually uploaded, so I got some inside fucking info there. He also today uploaded an Intercontinental Championship video that we're going to put on Digest next month that I haven't watched yet. It's another video. I'm excited for all these videos. The Endless Jest videos, Jack Saint's Space Jam video, and the Forest video that's now out that I can all watch next month, as soon as I get this fucking Digest video out. This month. It's fucking November now, motherfucker. Get in check. But these 2 videos, I don't have nearly as much to say about these 2 videos as I did last month, where we talked about the Forest video for the longest time, the evil one. We elaborated on Attack on Titan and all this weird shit. That won't be happening today. But we've got the IWGP Heavyweight Championship History one. Now, this is I like this video. I probably liked it more than the G1 Climax one, because it's interesting as sort of like not a documentary, like we were talking about with the Twitch Plays Pokemon video before this. But it's like this interesting insight of like, this is shit I don't really know about. 80s fucking IWGP Championship histories, 80s New Japan in general, really, where Inoki's hanging around and then it like forwards into Choshu and Fujinami, it seems. And sort of just going through the history here and each championship match and sort of talking about them and talking about how New Japan World doesn't have a lot of the matches, which is the New Japan streaming service. If you don't know anything about fucking New Japan Pro Wrestling, this is going to be a minefield for you and you're not going to understand any of it. And will take too long to explain this. Is a championship history video about the 80s. The championship only became like a formal championship where it wasn't defended in like the thing that wasn't the G1, Madison Square Garden G1, whatever, the predecessor. And Inoki started defending it as an actual belt until like 1987, I think. So that's when this starts. And sort of how they were all Gaijin matches at first, and there were some Choshu matches and some Fujinami matches. I think they He talks about that Hashimoto match that's great that I checked out. But I'm trying to think if there were other Japanese wrestlers he talked about. Because a lot of old Japanese wrestling is very much the homegrown Japanese boy versus the gaijin versus the enemy foreigner. Whether that be, they're usually Americans, but it can be another. I'm trying to remember who the fuck. Like, I remember Dick Murdoch was one of them, and Forrest did, like, the most relatable thing ever of talking about how I've heard the name Dick Murdoch before. I've never seen one of his fucking matches, so if he's the greatest of all time, leave me the fuck alone. I felt that. Dick Murdoch is a name you always hear, but fuck me if I know the first thing. This is the first time I've ever seen a fucking picture of him, was in this Forrest video. It's also, Forrest is very limited here because he's trying not to show images of anything because he gets fucked by copyright all the time, and he probably is targeted, even though he thinks he isn't. Masav Saito is Japanese, so he's the first match here, and he's sort of Inoki's rival. I think I listened to Meltzer talk about Masa Saito right after he died. Then there's a Bam Bam Bigelow match. I know like weird little things about Bam Bam Bigelow from that Paul Heyman documentary about Bam Bam being like the first Paul Heyman guy and sort of how he promoted his matches in nightclubs and shit like that. I thought that was in like the early 90s, but obviously it wasn't because he's already fucking main eventing against Inoki in Japan in 87. That was probably like the 85 or something. But yeah, seeing Bam Bam here. It just sort of goes through all of Inoki's matches. He talks about if they're good or bad. All the championship matches, basically. If they're good or bad, where they happen, the order in which they happened. It's good as a history thing of just seeing like all the matches that happen that you're probably not familiar with. It's also interesting from a critical standpoint. He's talking about the different matches. He's recommending certain matches and which ones are the best and which ones aren't, and which ones we should check out. It's all factored in. He's factoring in their singles record going into it. Forrest explained this to me in DMs without it makes a lot more sense. It's going to make a lot more sense when we talk about the Flowers video in a second. I keep calling it the Flowers video because it's like a fucking in reference. The awards video after this. Give him flowers like the presentation. They do that in Japanese wrestling a lot. It's also just a weird sports term to say give someone their flowers when they've done good. You know, haha, funny. I said I wasn't going to over-explain shit because if you're not into wrestling, this is all going to be a fucking murky wasteland anyway. But there we go again. And now I forgot what I was talking about originally. His numbers stuff. He talks about, and he recommended this video to me that I could have put in digest, but I didn't end up actually watching. Still in the playlist. I do intend to watch it eventually. About this dude who does sports analysis and how he sort of crunches the numbers, and obviously wrestling is fake. But it's also interesting to apply this. It presents itself as a sport, sort of. We also had a conversation about that. And sort of crunching the numbers for things like that. And he does it way more in the awards video where he like ranks his matches and then puts them in like a fucking, I don't know if he puts them in an Excel spreadsheet or whatever, but he does the math and talks about like where they're ranking percentages and things like that. And this also comes through now. I didn't really, like when he'd do that in his videos, I'd sort of like tune it out or I wouldn't take notice of it a lot. But now that he actually explained it to me, it's like, yeah, he does do that a lot. He's got their fucking singles record in the corner here, Inoki 3, Bam Bam Bigelow 0. And sort of analyzing that going into it and sort of the things that can tell you about the booking, especially when Japanese booking seems to be more about sort of the numbers of things. Like contemporarily, people will trade wins a lot, and it'll be 50-50 booking, but it'll be like stretched out over like 3-year periods where like, if Okada and Naito have 7 matches, one of them's going to win 3 and one of them's going to win 4, but like it's stretched out over like 10 years that they'll have these 7 matches, that it never feels like they're like, it always makes them feel like they're even and on the same fucking level or whatever, but it never feels like one's like beating the other one, or it never feels like one isn't beating the other one. It's a weird fucking thing. 50-50 booking is like this weird criticism of WWE. The problem with them is they'll do it like the next week and sort of invalidate everything instead of, we don't need to go into all of this. But there's this Bam Bam match here, and sort of going through all of Inoki's opponents. Here's the Dick Murdoch one. Steve Williams too, and then a Choshu match, and sort of going into how Choshu should have won, sort of matches. It seems like Japanese wrestling has this trend of having like an ace and then the dude that everybody actually likes, and always putting the ace over and having the second dude chase and actually not win until sometimes when it's too late. Like think of Okada and Naito and like Misawa and Kawada, and even Kabashi or whatever from the limited things I know. about All Japan and how sort of they didn't get their victories until later, and they probably should have gotten them beforehand and things like that, whereas Misawa and Okada won all the time. It seems to be like that with Fujinami and Choshu, where everybody likes Choshu a whole lot more, but Fujinami is positioned to be the dude with the belt, which sort of works because it creates these two mega stars by having like the less popular one be the champion constantly and have the more popular one not be the champion, and sort of you can make them popular by having the fact that they don't win the championship and having people sympathize with that. It's this weird strategy that seems reflected in a lot of Japanese booking. Or it could just be happenstance and they're fucking up. But yes, there's a Choshu match. And then Inoki doesn't like lose the belt or whatever and puts it up in the tournament or something. I can't remember exactly. I watched this video nearly a month ago. Now I got a Fujinami versus Vader match. And then a bunch of Choshu versus Fujinami matches that I'm interested in. A lot of these matches I do want to check out because of this video. It's just like going through. Now another Fujinami Vader one, then Fujinami and Inoki. Kerry Von Erich is here. I remember Forrest saying something interesting about this, and there was some elaboration in a comment here about the Kerry Von Erich stuff. A lot of weird, like just finding out the history of this. I think I talked about this last month when I talked about the appeal of the Walking the King's Road series, and I only seen 2 of those videos at that point. I think I actually seen the first episode at that point, but sort of like, these are all names I've heard of, and just seeing what they were actually like, or rather hearing secondhand what they were actually like, is like interesting, and getting more context of something you vaguely have heard of a lot is very interesting to me. Sid, a Jerry Lawler match, we're going through a little fast now, talking about this Choshu Hashimoto match that was 4 minutes, that was great, that even I checked out. More Vader stuff. Then I was wondering if I made this up. There was a weird Russian dude that won the belt and beat up Vader for a little while, and then Choshu, like, I don't remember if he beat him. Yeah, he did. And then Vader matches, Bam Bam Vader matches, and then sort of going over the end with the numbers breakdown again. It's all cool stuff. If you're interested in wrestling or New Japan at all, these are like Forrest channel is a must watch. No matter what. It's just, this is more interesting informationally than like opinion oriented, though the opinions are there. So yeah, check that one out. But now we're going to move on. Well, we're not really moving on because I'm probably got both of the slips on stream right now. But now the G1 Climax 30 Awards, these were more opinionated, right? Because I read the Twitter things, a lot of his opinions here I'd sort of read before because he talked about him on Twitter. He didn't shit on Ospreay as much as like he did on Twitter either. And I think it was more spent on Ishii being boring, and then there was a semi-part about Ospreay. Talking about the best matches, the Tanahashi, Naito match. I can't remember what exactly was his favorite match. I can't remember if it was that. He brought back the point that everybody should be ashamed in the Bushiroad era, that the pre-Bushiroad stars are the best fucking people in the company, with Suzuki and Tanahashi. Pretty true. I can't remember if we differed a lot on most of this stuff. What was a lot of this video about? Because he goes through a bunch of different categories like block MVP nominees and things like that. Best match, worst. I don't know if he goes specifically into worst match. Here we go. Top 5 matches. G1 Climax MVP, best bout machine, most underrated, most overrated, most disappointing. It's just a lot of like, I wish these videos were like in front of a wider audience. And I can't help it here because none of you are into New Japan Pro Wrestling. But like, if the wider New Japan audience, like I listened to this, and I've also listened to Dave Meltzer talk about the G1 on his fucking YouTube channel because I'm subscribed there, and him and Brian Alvarez talking about things, and like the polar opposite opinions, like them talking about Ishii having the greatest tournament of all time, and I'm seeing on like the New Japan Reddit people posting about Ishii had the greatest like run that anybody's ever had in the G1 Climax this year, and Forrest in this video talking about how abysmal his performance was this year, and sort of these conflicting opinions here, and it's a lot of fun. I would like to see more clashes here, but it seems like most of the people in Forrest's audience are already down with the hot takes he's going to come out with about about taking apart every major praise, every major, what would you call it? Why am I blanking on a word here? Not praiseworthy. Every major fucking why am I blanking here? Every major, like, accusation of being good that everybody, like, the generic New Japan fans have to New Japan about, this is what's great about it. And Forrest just being like, no, it's awful. You clearly haven't thought this through at all. And it's fun just seeing the difference of opinion here. But yeah, I can't. The top matches, he has Jay versus Shingo from night 1, which I remember being fun. The Suzuki Ibushi match, which was a match that I think Dave Meltzer said might have been the best G1 match ever. Naito versus Tanahashi, that was probably I really like the Zack Naito match. I think that might have been my favorite match all tournament. Well, was there a better match later? Not really. I'm trying to think late in the tournament. God, I was catching up on that tournament. I was watching 2 fucking G1 Climax shows a day, so I could fucking be caught up for the tournament. And then I had to watch 3 on the final day. Ugh, just not good. Just too much wrestling for my itty-bitty brain. Then Suzuki and Ishii. I think he says that was the best match, yes. Suzuki was dominating shit. Suzuki's the best. That's sort of the takeaway from this. He talks a lot about how Yoshihashi was really great, which I don't think most people are talking about, which I think Forrest even says in this video. Everybody's talking about that, but I don't think they are. Goto and Tsunade, I remember him talking about that. And then the worst matches and things like that. He didn't go quite as hard as I thought he was going to on Ospreay, that led me to believe on Twitter, which I think maybe save him for a big video or something, because I feel like that'd piss a lot of people off, because a lot of people think Will Ospreay is the best wrestler in the world. And yeah. But I feel like that's all I have to say about the Forrest videos this month. Again, the first one is more of a history video. The second one is more direct opinions about certain matches rather than a grand scoping statement about like New Japan or the way they do things, which I'm pretty sure the Intercontinental Championship video that came out today is going to be. But yeah, seems like he's getting back to those type of videos rather than these. These are 2 weird videos. I really want the IWGP Championship history shit to continue. I really like that. I want to see the 90s one, which will be way longer, because this one only covers 3 years out of the decade. The next one will have to cover 10 years. And the 90s was a crazy fucking time, I understand, for pretty much wrestling in general. So seeing it through the lens of New Japan would be fun. The G1 Climax Awards is a specifically, like, that can only be done once a year, because there's only one G1 Climax a year. So I'm interested in what else is happening. This fucking Intercontinental Championship match, I'm looking at it right now. 20 minutes, 3 seconds. I'm interested. Shinsuke in the title? What the fuck? Obviously, it was his belt for a long time. I understand why. But I'm interested in all that, and we'll get to it eventually. But we are moving on to a potholer, Holder rather. I keep reading it as Holer 54. Now, this is a big, I guess it's politics, but more of a science-based channel. Where he is a professor of some sort, I'm pretty sure, and he just goes through and debunks a bunch of, like, conspiracy theories about the coronavirus and things like that. You've probably, I don't know, I say you've probably seen his videos, but you probably haven't, since everybody knows about COVID-19, and these videos get like 200,000 views, I'm pretty sure. It's just a great little reference of sort of how the science works and, like, the lies, specifically that Donald Trump has said about the virus and things like that. And sort of fact-checking everything. He says fact-checking a lot in these videos. I feel like they're great. Like, I feel like everybody should watch these videos. And he's very open to, like, audience criticism. He sort of reminds me of myself and the weird things where he, like, this second video is all about him correcting shitty comments. I also like that YouTube now has the links to information pages on no matter what. If you make a COVID-19 related video, it's sort of like a source you can read about if you click on the button. It fights misinformation a little bit, not outrightly. Actually, this video only has 40,000 views, not even 200,000 views. It has 200,000 subscribers, though. And he sort of has this British tone, this British no-nonsense, like, I'm tired and sick of this shit tone, and how he narrates his videos. He also has a bunch of older videos that aren't about the coronavirus. His channel is actually really old. I think some of his old stuff was, like, atheism stuff, debunking, like, creationists and shit like that, and then it turned into, like, just cool videos about, like, ice ages and sort of, it's tangentially related to disproving global warming, like anti-conspiracy theories. but in ways of like, actually the world just works in cycles, when he's like, no, these are all the different ice ages. I think one of the big videos is about ice ages that I really like. I didn't even read the titles of the video yet. The difference between case fatality rate and infection fatality rate by pot holder. Wait, is it hold? Yeah, it's holder or holer. I don't know. Its fucking username is weird. It's probably a reference I'm not getting, unless it's literally pot holders and weed holders in drugs, bro. But this one was from October the 9th, 2020. Hold on, let me go over, because I've spelt it different 2 times here. Which one is it actually? Pot holder instead of holder. Alright. It doesn't matter. I've got the fucking links in the description, so it doesn't matter if I fuck it up. And then how many COVID deaths were really caused by COVID-19. So obviously there was a big confusion where people in response to a video he made that wasn't from last month, before that, that I had watched, where he talks about the, I can't remember which one it is, whether it's the infection fatality rate, and everybody like said, actually, no, it's this number, but they had their numbers confused. And then he sort of predicted what was going to happen, whereas they would say that the numbers were irrelevant the whole time, which they end up doing, and then he responds to in the next video. It's just funny how he's like fucking, he like literally shows the comments too of people being fucking stupid and just responding to him about the dumb fucking YouTube commenters. Seeing YouTube commenters get destroyed is the greatest feeling in the world. There's nothing stupider than a YouTube commenter. There is. People who respond on Twitter, Reddit people, they're a lot dumber. But YouTube commenters are terrible too. So watching them get dunked on, a lot of fun. This last one came out October the 31st. Very late video. I don't think he's come up with a new video this month yet. But the aesthetic here is also great. Like, just a bunch of science stuff, and his narration I really like. I think he is like a 70-year-old man too, which is cool. You know, old people making YouTube videos. That's a lot of fun. But yeah, you can see clearly what conspiracy theories these videos are attacking. The second one about, you hear a lot of people say, like, was COVID actually responsible for all these deaths? Maybe they had comorbidities, or is it called comorbidities? Or premorbidities? No, it's like, I don't know. The fucking mutual things, like if you're fat and you get COVID, you're going to die more than a skinny person who has COVID. Unless they're extremely skinny and anorexic, then they're going to fucking die too. But so if you already have health risks, like heart disease or whatever the fuck, or diabetes, and you get COVID, it's going to exacerbate the effects it has on you and things like that. And people were saying, well, actually, these people died from getting run over, but they had COVID at the time, so they're getting counted. And him sort of going through the data about that, no, like, the studies account for that. Don't be fucking stupid. It's just a bunch of, like, Twitter shit that people just say without actually looking into anything. He even, like, brings up some tweets, and, like, tweets that Donald Trump specifically had retweeted from people that are just false, and just people being stupid, and a bunch of hearsay nonsense, and him actually coming through with what's actually going on, and what, like, the World Health Organization has actually said versus what people are saying they said, and how they had done basically nothing wrong, but everybody assumed they had done things wrong and things like that. These videos are great, and, like, no nonsense, cut to the chase. You're a fucking idiot, and I like it a lot. It'll help keep you out of the fucking road as some weird conspiracy theories that the internet will make you believe because you're an idiot and you don't actually want to fact check anything. So put your faith in this bloke to actually fucking fact check shit, as he seems like he's doing for it. But in the better case, you should click this learn more button that YouTube has underneath all these videos to actually, don't fall into the trap of being one of the do your own research people, because that gets real weird real quick. But you should look into things and not believe people blindly. Or at least if you're going to believe someone blindly, at least put your faith in somebody who's more likely to be right. But that was a weird fucking ending to that. Because I don't have much more to say. I don't know what else I could say. I don't have much to add here. This isn't art anymore. We're into the realm of actual harm here with people with dumb COVID conspiracy theories who don't think it's real or don't think it's as bad as people are saying. And I hear you Yanks are having a problem with that. 100,000 cases a day or something, while we're having 0 cases a day. Little fucking weird, bro. Get your shit in order. I think we did have some cases, like, yesterday and today, though. We went, like, what was it, like a month without any cases in my state specifically? But I don't know. Get your fucking shit in order. Don't believe in COVID's conspiracy theories. You're an idiot. I don't want to hear about it. Go watch the videos. They're good. I like them a lot, and the aesthetic, too. Now we're moving on to Johnny Harris. Weird name. I've never said that out loud. Johnny Harris. Is Harris the first name? No, Harris is the second name. I don't think it's that weird now that I'm thinking about it, just insulting this man's name right off the bat. It's weird when people have two first names, right? But these are also videos, like that last potholer, I think we came to the conclusion it was Holer, not Holder. Like his videos wouldn't have been on last month's digest, but now that we've made a change here and we're sort of veering not just in art analysis videos here, I think I came up with the name earlier today for what we'll call digest going in the future. I think I just called it Analytical YouTube Review. I like that name. I think that name's okay. And we'll just call it November Edition when we do it next month. Most things will be the same unless you are all shitty about the way we've structured it today and we have to change it. But we'll see about all that. So the first video here, these are like little informational videos that are sort of blended with vlogs, which is interesting. Again, it's sort of the pop YouTube aesthetic mixed with something actually substantive. Which is interesting and I like. We've talked about that with Sarah Zed stuff and like Jack Saint stuff before. We sort of got into that with Wisecrack stuff, but that was a little different. Sort of using the format of like a vlog and interspersing like a vlog of his family going to New York and him like wondering how New York and why it's so big and things like that for the first video that I haven't even introduced here. But it's a cool little blend and it's cool little informational videos that I like. But again, it's nothing to do with art, so I wouldn't have featured them. But now we're turning it more into a video production YouTube type thing. It's sort of like, it's sort of a video essay in certain ways, so it sort of makes the cut. That's sort of the appeal we're going for now. We're going to cover all sorts of videos, not just art. Since we were doing that anyway, because we were covering ContraPoints things, even though she was doing like video essays, just cool YouTube shit that we're recommending or not recommending and shit talking. That's what Digest is about. It's not going to be called Digest for much longer. So the first video here by Mr. Johnny Harris is why New York is so huge, where he sort of explains it. I went through the Consider This one. That was October the 20th, 2020. And then You Won't Vote by Johnny Harris, October the 27th, 2020. Let's start with the New York one. I basically went over. It's like a little vlog of him talking about how he went to New York City with, it seems, his wife and his son here, his young son, and sort of being in the city and wondering why it was so big and how like this marvel of a city came to be. And he sort of goes through the history. Now, I'm pretty sure if you're an American, you probably know the history, especially if you're from New York. There could be somebody from New York listening to this right now. That's a little weird. Living in a city is weird as fuck, and I could never do it. But sort of wondering how it got to be so big. And then he goes through the history. I was up to the history part. I was like, if you're from there, you probably know it. But as an Australian who doesn't know shit about Americans' foundation or whatever, there was two wars. There was one against the fucking British. He kicked them out of America, said, you ain't taxing me without representation, and they got fucked. French helped you. French fucked off. They didn't really get shit out of it. How's a revolution? But now we're into French history. Then you had a civil war. Some people liked slavery, some people didn't. Had a fight about it. Some people that want to be revisionist are mad right now and saying it's not about slavery, bro. But they're wrong. And then World War I, you really weren't into that stuff, but then you were at the end. World War II, you really weren't into that stuff. Maybe thought Nazis were cool or something. Then Japan was like, fuck you. Then you let the bombs go on them. That wasn't very nice. Then Korea, fucking around in Vietnam, not very cool. Going into oil fields after that, and here we are. So that's my understanding of American history. How Boston or Los Angeles came to be. I know a little bit about Hollywood history. And I know a lot about wrestling history. And I know a lot of what I know about America through wrestling. And sort of like I know all I'm pretty sure I could name every state because at the beginning of every wrestling event they go, we're in New York City, we're in fucking Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, we're in fucking, I don't know, Wisconsin, fucking Mr. Kennedy's from Green Bay, Wisconsin, and he says that at the beginning of every fucking match, you know. I know wrestling stuff. I mean, I know American stuff through wrestling. But as somebody who has no idea that the Dutch, like, founded New York, and then the British came along and called it New York and whatever. So that was all fun to fucking listen to. And then how the thing was slowly formed through, like, the Industrial Revolution, how its placement is really good because it's, like, surrounded, it's very safe because of where it is. And sort of how it became what it is, and just going through the history and like what it looks like and how it's developed over the years, and like a short fucking 10-minute video here. It's nice. It's cool. I liked watching it for the 10 minutes I did. I learned something. So that's sort of the appeal of these videos. I think there are short informational videos. I don't know about the accuracy of them necessarily. Like, I'm more inclined to trust the Potholer dude because he seems like more scientific. Like, maybe this history is all off, but it doesn't feel like it's not fighting fucking conspiracy theories out here. It's just, hey, he uploaded a new video recently that I didn't even see. What people get wrong about masks. So maybe we'll check that out, and maybe it'll be... Actually, he uploaded a video in between the two videos we're talking about that I didn't watch. The US and Canada only border dispute over land. That seems a little interesting. America and Canada fucking with each other. It's weird when you have neighbours that aren't just Australia and then water. Can't relate to that. A little weird. A little piss weak, bro. Take over the whole continent. But yeah, so the New York video, it's cool. These are fun little informational videos mostly. They all seem to be about 10 to 15 minutes long. There's like a 1 minute, 3 minute video here, but they're like ads for something else, I'm pretty sure. But they're fun, while you're watching them, they're fun. The second one is about You Won't Vote, where it's just like, because a lot of his audience is younger, he's just pointing out that you're not going to vote, you're not going to vote, you never vote, and the reason why nothing gets done that young people want is because they don't vote, and politicians are only interested in keeping their own positions. And if they only appeal to likely voters that tend to be old white people, especially in America. Now, see, in Australia, we got rid of this issue because everybody has to vote because it's compulsory. So it's sort of like a completely different thing. But looking into the American election, especially now, as it's still going on when this is being recorded, hopefully by it's out, old Joe will be in there. But maybe we'll all get fucked and Mr. Trump will get fucking 4 more years and we'll never be free of the COVID-19 fucking nonsense. But this is just sort of his video. It's basically an urge you to vote video about how easy every left-wing thing would be to pass if young people just voted in America. But they won't, and they didn't, and now it's pretty close. Because young people don't care, and then by the time you're 30, you're a conservative. So there you go. But yeah, that's just a little poignant video about You Won't Vote, and sort of accusatory and like, what do you mean I won't vote? And you watch it and you're like, There's a point that I knew beforehand about the American political system, about how young people just don't vote if you don't force them, which seems true. A lot of young people, not a lot, but like the most, like if you don't vote in Australia, you get fined, but the most people that get fined are young people in Australia. They're the most likely not to vote, but you can still bank on the younger vote because everybody basically votes. But I think that's it for Mr. Johnny Harris here. He's an interesting little fellow. We'll check in on him and see if he makes other videos in the month to come and see if any of them are worth talking about. Right now, again, Digest is a recommendation machine, and I think some of you might like those videos. That type of content is a little interesting. Some history stuff going on. But that brings us to the end of the first segment here. Of not catch-up videos, of October videos. We're done there. Now we're going to move on to the catch-up section. And boy, oh boy, do we have to talk about Joseph Montecillo here. And the Marriott of fucking videos from this bloke that I watched this month. We're primarily going to talk about the Walking the King's Road series because it's the greatest thing. It's probably my favorite thing. It is my favorite thing I watched this month. Even more than the Caribou-Kun video. I think I was going back and forth earlier. When talking about that. Shaybs is gone now, right? We can tell him that Walking the King's Road is better than him. That Shaybs video is so fucking good in like editing and production and everything. It's definitely better in that regard. But come on, man. Wrestling videos. You had no hope. Mr. Shaybs. Joseph Montecillo is a big wrestling YouTube essayist, video essayist. He's made a shit ton of videos. And the first week of after I'd finished Digest, from the 10th to the 17th, was just me. I think it was actually 3 days. It was just me watching nearly every video he's put out. Now, not actually, because I only watched about half of the total, I would say about 3/5 of the total videos he's made about wrestling. I didn't watch all of his older stuff. That seems to be politically inclined and comedy inclined. But we talked about Joseph last month on Digest too. We talked about, what did we talk about? We talked about the Cody and Dustin video, and we talked about the first episode of Walking the King's Road. And these were the only 2 videos I'd seen of his beside the top list of matches for 2019 that I had watched when that video actually came out. But those were the only 2 videos I'd seen, and Walking the King's Road had my attention, so I had to go through that. But you know me, I'm a fucking perfectionist, completist loser, so I had to go back and watch every single one of the videos, and then I'd get extra excited when it's, Walking the King's Road is next, I really want to watch that shit. So I did do this until the greatest wrestling trilogy you've never seen. I think I also watched top 10 hidden gems of 2019 as well. But once I got to here, I was just like, fuck it. I'm just going to watch the rest of Walking the King's Road because that's what I really care about. So I went through and I watched all of those. And what I've sort of highlighted is we're going to talk about the last one particularly. We'll get into that. I plan on going back and watching all of the other videos at some point. I've avoided all the Daniel Bryan stuff. Honestly, now, Joseph could hear this. Forrest listens to it. So he's only a stone's throw away from Joseph. So if he hears this, he's going to be mad at this. But I always thought Daniel Bryan was a boring prick, and I have no interest in him. So watching like 3 hours of content about how Daniel Bryan is the best, I will do it. And hopefully you can convince me. Because I haven't seen any of his ROH stuff. And he's got this big The GOAT video talking about how cool his heel promos are that I thought were terrible. The vegan ones or whatever. We'll see. We'll fucking see. We'll see what if he can convince me. But besides that, I haven't seen the Chris Hero, Zack Sabre Jr. one. I'm scrolling on his channel now. I know you can't see it. He's got some Zack Sabre Jr. videos here. God, the Jumbo's Last Stand intro thing is cool as fuck. It's so cool. I haven't watched this capitalism video. I haven't even watched his July, September, and August little mini match review things, which I think would be like the easiest content for me to watch yet. Also, this big 1990, the year's best in wrestling video is one I'm very interested in too. So hopefully by the time I come to you next month, I'll have watched all of his videos. Going through chronologically was a bit like taxing because I was like, when's Walking for the King's Road? And then I was like, why am I like soiling all of my other like experiences with his videos rather than just like watching all of those ones since I want to. But I'll quickly go through all the other ones. So the Art of the Hype video one was pretty cool about the Devlin and why can't I remember his name? It got outed for sexual assault. David why the fuck is his, why can't I remember his name? David Starr, of course. Their like hype video thing didn't really seem my type of thing. I don't like a lot of the fantastical wrestling stuff, and sort of having Walter be like this Goliath in the ocean was like a bit much for me. I even watched the Fighting with My Family thing, which is his girlfriend's video on his channel, and he did one on her channel. Now, his one on her channel about wrestling's like portrayal in a bunch of different things, like I think Kim Possible or something, which is a show I've never seen but heard about. The Spider-Man one, there were some other examples too. That was a really interesting video. The Fighting with My Family thing and sort of the ethics behind biopics was interesting, and they talked about that Hugh Jackman movie that came out that sort of cut out a bunch of problematic stuff they did in the creation of that movie. That was kind of interesting. I did like his video on her channel a little bit more though. The Greatest Match You've Never Seen. Now, there's an issue here, because he's sort of making fun of the Greatest You've Never Seen gimmick here, because it's literally a match between invisible men. But then he also does that up here, the Greatest Wrestling Trilogy You've Never Seen. So I thought he was making fun of that type of titling, but then he unironically used it later. So I don't know. I'm seeing through you, Mr. Joseph, alright? You're fucking up, buddy. But again, this was an invisible thing match. I don't really care. I didn't like it. The Eddie Kingston versus Claudio Castagnoli ones, Cesaro, for the WWE things, a matter of respect. This was a cool trilogy. I've only tangentially heard of Chikara. Again, it's a lot of fantastical wrestling stuff that I'm really not into at all. But sort of like the backstory there and sort of the storyline was engaging. The cool art on the DVDs I liked and things like that. The PWR Homecoming is a big deal thing. It was just about Filipino pro wrestling, which is an interesting thing. Not too memorable. The Necro Butcher versus Joe stuff again. And sort of through the eyes of this philosopher thing and how he had written a paper on wrestling back in like the 50s, which was interesting. Him incorporating that again was cool. But again, like I don't really like Bloodfest wrestling either. So again, like the match stuff wasn't for me. But all these videos are pretty good. The Medium is the Message. He really didn't, I don't know. I feel like this is a hefty title. Like talking about the Medium is the Message. And sort of this is more a reflection on how you critique matches and how can you critique and give this match 5 stars if like part of it's missing, which is the whole gimmick behind that video. So I don't know, putting the medium as the message, thinking there's going to be some mind-blowing thing about wrestling and the medium being the message, and sort of incorporating that. I feel like it sort of overhyped me for that video. The anatomy of the angle was a simple thing about this Darby Allin return angle that no, it wasn't even his return angle. It was one of the ones where he attacked Jericho. I remember watching this episode of Dynamite a while ago. It was pretty good too. And then this trilogy thing with Makabe, who I've heard him talk about before, makes me think of Togi Makabe, but no, it's this white dude who wrestles in fucking soccer shirts. Versus Timothy Thatcher, who is another person I've heard of but never seen before, so it was just like, filling me in on who they are was cool. See, Chris Hero and Zack Sabre Jr., I know who they are. I haven't seen these matches, but it's like, ooh, that might be one I want to watch. But that was where I stopped. That video is only 7 minutes. But it's really about these Walking the King's Road videos, which is these fucking videos are outstanding, all right? Now, it could be because the subject matter is more to my liking, but just going through, and we talked about this, the appeal is still the same it was last month, and we talked about it a little bit when we were talking about Forrest's videos earlier. The fucking going back through and learning about all the names I've heard of but never seen before, and sort of putting it in this digestible format of going through All Japan's world title scene and the birth of this in-house style through the years, and going through Jumbo and Misawa and things like that, and the way he narrates things and the way he highlights certain things in the matches that will be called back to later, making it all dramatic, making you understand like why all these individual matches were great and why these moments mean so much and why you should care about these people, these wrestlers, these characters is fucking great. It's 10 out of 10 stuff. It's literally some of the best YouTube I've ever seen. It's the best videos I watched this month. Now, I was led to believe that this was going to be the last episode because Misawa versus Kawada, right? That's the end. That's when they have their big match that everybody loves. But this was like the first of their matches. I've now looked into it, and I know even more because I was on the Wikipedia pages. Misawa and Kawada don't stop until like 2005, and I'm sure he's going to go into the Noah stuff eventually. I'm pretty sure this series has like unlimited potential. So I was scared because it has a different thumbnail, and I saw it like as a recent video that come out, and it was the latest one to come out. It still is the latest one to come out, as it came out on September the 8th, 2020. So I was like, oh no, is he ending it here? I want to learn more. We haven't even talked about Akiyama once yet. Who is he? Where does he come into all of this? But no, this is not the end. So that was cool as fuck. But just the different, just going through everything here. Kikuchi, this tag match was awesome. I want to watch that match so bad because the crowd reaction. This video sort of turns into a talk about what is wrestling without the crowd, and I scream at the top of my lungs, absolutely nothing. Wrestling is useless without the crowd. Jumbo's last stand might have been the best part. The intro I already talked about was so fucking good. Makes you really feel like the tragedy of Jumbo Tsuruda's story, who was somebody I again only heard, like I've heard Jumbo Tsuruda's name before, but like now I know what was going on there. Tsuruda versus Kawada here was cool. All the 6-man matches talking about what makes them great was cool. The Army versus Tsuruda-gun, all cool stuff, great stuff. The Tenru stuff, but then like Tenru actually leaves, and then Misawa versus Jumbo, going through all these parts, and then the ending of the most recent one, because Kawada and Misawa are still in. I read the spoilers, right? I went on the Wikipedia page, and I almost wish I hadn't, because some of the surprises and the twists and turns that I didn't realize were things that were gonna happening was interesting. So he teases at the end of this video. He does this a lot. He really skirts the fucking line between the cringy delivery and the great delivery, and it never feels cringy. Like, it sounds like I'm saying sometimes he's cringe, sometimes he's not. He hits the delivery every time, and he makes it super dramatic, and it's wrestling, so it's like, oh no, we could get into dangerous territory of throwing people off here. But like the last line of this video is something about how like it's going to take heaven, earth, and hell to move Misawa off the top or whatever. And to me, I don't know what the fuck's going on. I don't know about Demon Generation Army or whatever it's going to be called. I looked it up. I found out what it was going to be called eventually. Well, it has a great name. I couldn't remember it on stream one time when we looked it up, and even chat was impressed, who was completely non-wrestling. something Demon Army. I can't remember what it's called, but Kawada's faction with Tawe, which is like, oh, they've been beating the fuck out of each other for like 2 years at this point. They team up? What's going on there? Like, I got the spoilers. Like, oh shit, they team up? How does that happen? And that seems to be what part 12, episode 12 of this series is going to be about. And I'm excited. I want to know what happens next. It really gets you invested here, and I love it a lot. Even if you're not into wrestling, I would recommend this specific playlist of videos, Walking the King's Road by Joseph Montecillo, and just go through. I think it's a good in showing what can be interesting and why real-life people can be into wrestling from sort of an analytical sphere, and sort of highlighting in that one. Here's the comment. It says, even hell to shake him from his spot. The birth of the greatest tag team of all time is coming. And then sort of like, I was like, what does that mean? And then I go back and listen to the line and realize Kawada is going to turn on Misawa, or something's coming up here, just like Taue did beforehand. And then he's going to join up with Taue. How weird. And then I got into all the spoilers, and like now I know what's going on. Because again, I had heard like Kawada, Kobashi, Misawa all interchangeably. So I haven't realized that actually most of it's going to be Misawa and Kobashi versus Kawada and Taue. So it's like, I didn't even know that shit. So I got spoiled for that. And now I'm incredibly interested to see how that all plays out. But yeah, the cute tease at the end about how Kawada is about to turn on him. Like, if you get the reference, you got chills when he says this line. You're like, ooh, can't wait for the next part. And that's true here. And the intro to this video is so cool, where he like builds up like, what are they gonna do when the two best friends verse? And then it's just like immediately Kawada like suplexing him and being like, this is real shit, fuck you. And it's just so cool. Such a great opener for a match where everybody doesn't know what's going on and you just hit them at 1,000% immediately. It's fucking cool. And I still haven't watched any of the matches from anything, really. I don't think I've ever seen a Misawa match or a Kawada match at all. When I get time, the plan is to go back and watch all the matches he talks about here, because they all seem great. Well, some of them he highlights not being great, like in the Hansen versus Misawa video. But I'm interested in watching all of these matches now. It's just, fuck me, I'm the busiest boy in the entire world. That's probably not true. But where do I find the time to watch? I can't even watch contemporary New Japan to keep up for the fucking life of me. And I'm behind on AEW and NXT and Raw and SmackDown, all things that I hope to catch up on eventually. So we're a little behind, but eventually we will watch all of these All Japan matches and probably moving into Noah matches. And I'm excited. Walking the King's Road, let it continue. The best thing I watched this month, the thing I would recommend to anybody watching. It's so cool. It's the coolest. Coolest of this month, definitely. But I don't really know what else to say without going into specific details. Videos are great. Presentation is great. Narration is great. Music choice is great. The one track he seems to stick with for all of them. He shows off some editing here with, again, the Drumbo Saruda video and the intro to that, the intro to this video. They started, like, the production value has started to go up. Like, he has cool edited intros of, like, it's almost like mini AMVs, but for wrestling at the beginning of things, showing, like, highlights and stuff like that. It's real, real cool. And I'm loving it, and I can't wait for episode 12. I know, the fucking One Piece video we're about to talk about started playing in the background. But that's it for Joseph. Alright, he's got to go back to the back of the line. We'll definitely talk about something he makes, because hopefully he'll come out with videos. And hopefully I'll have caught up on everything else that we can talk about next month if we have specific things to say about them. So stick around, everybody. Check out the Joseph Montecillo King's Road playlist. If you're even tangibly, if right now you're wondering, why is this fucking loser talking about wrestling? Wrestling sucks. Just watch that playlist and see. And see if you can even, like, you might not like wrestling. It's not really baby's first introduction to wrestling, but if you can see how people analyze it and how people could appreciate it from that standpoint, there you go. But moving on here, we've got another Craftsdwarf video. Now, we haven't covered a Craftsdwarf video, I don't think, since part 1. We've only done one part in between. This is only our 3rd episode, but I'm acting like it's been a while. But then we watched a very old Craftsdwarf One Piece video that I thought was great. Miller again, big Craftsdwarf, Miller from Twitch chat, that is, one of my most loyal viewers. Loyal is tentative. He's a big Craftsdwarf simp. He's always fucking recommending me his videos. Though he doesn't like that I watch One Piece videos that spoil me, even though I have all of the One Piece spoilers in my brain and I know more about One Piece than you do. But he was like, the last video I talked about, the really old power scaling video, he's like, he doesn't even stand by that video anymore. That's stupid. I think everybody generally came around on Fairy Tail and he shits on Fairy Tail in that video, so that's like the difference. I don't know. I've never seen an episode of Fairy Tail in my life. I'm not really that interested in whether or not people do or don't like it. But so I decided the plan was originally with Craftsdwarf to watch all of his One Piece videos in preparation for this digest. I just didn't get around to watching all of them. This character development is overrated thing with Spike in the thumbnail seems so cool and seems like something I say all the time. I wonder if he's on board with me or if he's got a different opinion slightly or whatever the fuck. But the original idea was to watch all the One Piece videos because that seems to be the only things that he makes that I know anything about. He also has the critique of Super Eyepatch Wolf video I could watch that I think I watched at one point like 3 years ago. And he's got a bunch of One Piece videos. Again, this character development video I'm scrolling over here would be cool. I like that. So the plan is, one of because I talked about this in the intro, that the catch-up section would be like a declaration that I'm going to either not watch or watch most of this person's videos. And hopefully it is for Craftsdwarf that we will watch most of them, because this video was great. I liked it a lot, and we'll get into that in a second. He's doing some weird J-drama videos that I'm actually kind of interested in. Watching things like that. We'll catch up on Craftsdwarf. That's on the list, right? For next month, and whatever, if he releases something this month that's new and big, we'll probably cover it in the contemporary section next month. It is a month. Yes, we do these monthly, if you didn't fucking know. I'm trying to catch up here. I'm 2 hours in on a recording session. Leave me the fuck alone. Ooh, Peace, War, and Absolute Justice, an analysis of the Marines and world government by Craftsdwarf. This video came out back in September the 8th, 2019, so it's a pretty old video. By old, we mean like nearly a year old. More than a year old. It's fucking November now, motherfucker. Wake up. This video was fucking great. Since I know all the One Piece spoilers, I wasn't really... The one thing that did fuck me up in this video was when he would refer to the admirals by their actual names that I didn't know. Like, I only know Akainu, Kizaru, and Aokiji. So when he would say, like, their actual names, I would get confused. I'm like, motherfucker, I'm only on Skype here. Obviously, I watched the Nate lecture, and I've seen every One Piece Podcast episode and a bunch of One Piece analysis videos already, so I know all the One Piece spoilers, literally all of them. Unironically quiz me, I can name the arcs backwards and forwards. I know what happens in all of them. Alright, leave me the fuck alone. Don't be worried about me getting spoiled, already been spoiled. This did spoil me on, I can't remember something, but there was one thing where I was like, that is a spoiler I didn't know. But him, obviously, as Skype here, the Marines haven't been explored that much. We got Smoker. They're corrupt, obviously. The Shichibukai were just, like, I haven't even seen most of them yet. They had the first, like, meeting that happens after Jaya. So I met Don Flamingo and Kuma. And I haven't met any of the admirals yet. I know you meet Aokiji after Long Ring, Long Land, or whatever it's called. That might be the one arc name, I don't know. The one with the Davy back fight. I know that happens at the end of that, and then Akainu is the last one we meet. Kizaru comes in Shabandi. I know everything, alright? Leave me the fuck alone. I was building up to a point then, but the Marines haven't really been introduced, so this was basically all new analysis for me. Craftsdwarf seems to always have an interesting take on things and sort of a different way to connect things. There's a particular point in this video where he has, like, he points out this one panel where it's like the three of them, it's a manga panel where it's like the three of them and it all like perfectly fits their characterization. I'm scrolling through the fucking progress bar right now to see if I can find this. It's from the war. It's when they're... Here we go, I found it. Where he sort of highlights what Kizaru, Aokiji, and Akainu all say here. Where, like, Kizaru, like, because he is lazy justice, he, like, tries to divert the blame of the ice wall not going up in time or whatever on somebody else. Akainu blames Aokiji, and Aokiji blames Akainu, and it sort of highlights lazy, and then there's, I forget what he says. Akainu is absolute justice, and no, yes, Akainu, and then Aokiji is Ice Boy. I can't remember what particularly he is, because he has subtitles for like the different things, and then what's the fucking dude from Enies Lobby's name? Rob Lucci is a different type of like evil justice or whatever. He sort of has these subtitles for the different ones. Personal justice is Smoker. I'm trying to scroll through the progress bar again. Again, obviously, if I had actually read One Piece this month instead of watching One Piece videos, maybe I would understand these concepts a little better. But this is a big, deep dive exploration of everything to do with the Marines and what's being said through the different Marines and said about the Marines by the narrative and thematically, going through and talking about all this stuff. Now, to get back to this 3-panel thing, because I introduced it, but just how it sort of perfectly characterizes them. And then I found the equivalent of this in Attack on Titan Chapter 1, and I was like, oh, it's just like the Craftsdwarf thing, where it's Armin, Eren, and Mikasa in Chapter 1 before the Titans have attacked, and it like perfectly characterizes what they want before the Titans attack and before the priority becomes we have to defend our shit, and how those sort of motivations, those initial motivations from Chapter 1 are now coming back at the end of the series because Titans aren't a threat and they're trying to think about what's going on. And I can't remember exactly what Arm and Mikasa are in, because Mikasa makes it about protecting Eren. Eren sort of is shitty about it, and Armin is more generally like wanting to seek knowledge or something. It's this great 3-part panel that I like a lot, and it's just like this, where it like sort of perfectly characterizes who they are in just this one instance. And I think this shows good character writing, if we want to use the word good, which if I wasn't 2 hours into a recording session, I'd probably think of a better synonym. But how Oda writes his characters, I think this is epitomized through this, like, through his consistency with his characters to be, like, for each of his characters to be who they are no matter what, and to be consistently who they are. I feel like the way Oda creates a character is he thinks of a character concept, and then everything comes from that. Like, Kizaru is going to be lazy, so everything to do with Kizaru is going to be lazy related. How he's dressed or something like that, I don't know specifically how his like yellow suit and shit corroborate into him being lazy, but I'm sure it does somehow. Everything he says is like evident of this one. It's almost like this extreme of he chooses like one thing that a character is going to be, and for Kizaru it's laziness, and he builds everything about his character around that concept, and sort of Akainu and Aokiji. This is how he sort of keeps all of his, like, how he has 900 characters or whatever, and he keeps them all weirdly unique, and like, One Piece is just so good at being, with like going all the way with its like concepts and things like that, and all of this was just like the epitome of that. I don't know, I feel like I had a better way of explaining that, but again, I'm 2 hours in on this fucking recording session, motherfucker. Alright, leave me alone. But I really do think that. I think like there's something to be, I'll have to think about that more as I progressively go through One Piece, but Oda's sort of like thinking about what a character is, and sort of developing the character from the inside out, and therefore, like, I don't know how to properly explain this phenomena, but I talk about this. That was a voice crack. I talk about this, I can't remember relating to what other series it is. I don't know if it was Attack on Titan or if it was Berserk, or what other series is like this. But like this epitome to like go all the way with something. And I feel like Oda is really good at this, of like buckling down and like, this is a terrible job at explaining it again. I apologize. Don't take this too seriously. I'll flesh this out once I think about it more and put it in a video. But this, like, it's just like this bombast of like absolutely going all the way with Luffy, or absolutely going all the way with Zoro. Like the nothing happened is like the epitome. Like that makes sense for Zoro to do. That's such a Zoro thing to do. Like, and like each character sort of doing that. That's sort of what I think about that. But that was weird. There's not really a conclusion to draw there because I'm still working out what exactly I'm trying to say there. I'm trying to remember specifically. This was one of the like first videos I watched for this month, but I can't remember what specifically else he says. And I remember the 3-panel thing because I was like, I found that in Attack on Titan, and that's really cool. I really like how they perfectly characterize them all in this one thing. Then he talks about Fujitora, of course. And and talks about his sort of reasonable justice. I just it just popped up on the screen here, and sort of. I feel like my impression of Fujitora, again, from watching YouTube clips and getting everything spoiled, was that he was sort of like this altruistic, like definitely a good guy, and sort of seeing how he's a little too lawful to be that, like, to thematically be perfect in the One Piece world, like somebody like Luffy sort of is, or Roger was, to be like, this is what Oda wants you to, like, idolize, whereas Fujitora is almost there, like, he's probably going to be a good guy by the end and he's going to help us out. But sort of him having a philosophy and a code and sort of exploring that and what that means and how he would instigate that change in the world and shit like that. He talks about Fujitora for a while here. And then the Revolutionary Army. I can't entirely remember what he says in this video. I'll tell you what I do remember about this video. It being fucking good and it being very dense with, like, analysis and, like, things. I've heard people talk about all the things he talks about in this video, but not with this level of, like, depth and, like, unique type analysis, I would say. And I almost want to revisit this video after I finish this recording session and go back and see exactly what was said and exactly what the elaborations are. So I'm very interested in keeping up the Craftsdwarf watchings here. We'll see, maybe he'll come out with a One Piece video next month, and I'll have watched all of the One Piece videos. We can talk about them all in one cluster and talk about the new One Piece one he's released this month. I'm interested in all of his other stuff. It's sort of like, I remember some of the comments were like, I can't believe, like, One Piece is saying this much through its different characters. It's like, yes, One Piece is a 10 out of 10. It's fucking golden. And here, Craftsdwarf is to explore a lot of it thematically and see what's actually being said if you stop and think about it for a little bit. And I like that. I like to think that's what I do for other things. And hopefully I can do for One Piece in the future once I'm actually caught up and have thought about things and gone through it a few times, you know? It's cool. It's real cool. I like all the Craftsdwarf videos I've seen so far, even the ones that apparently he doesn't himself like anymore. But moving on, we've got a Hiding in Public catch-up video. The Point of Devilman Crybaby. Now, this video came out on November the 10th, 2019. This is an old video. Again, I probably should have done notes on this one, but we're trying to keep things brief. I remember really liking this video. Again, I've sort of had an epiphany recently about the Devilman ending myself. Now, this is particularly the Devilman Crybaby ending. Fuck, I can't entirely remember his conclusion from this video. See, this is why notes are useful. Again, all the Hiding in Public stuff that I like, this is his most popular video. I think he probably did come out with a new video this month, but I opted to watch this one instead. I don't really need to catch up on Hiding in Public videos, like I just made the promise to do with some Craftsdwarf stuff. Since his most recent videos were about Made in Abyss and Agretzko, two things that I haven't seen and don't really have any interest in. Made in Abyss I have a slight interest in. I didn't think of putting them on, but sort of how we're saying that all of these other videos are like that with Craftsdwarf is a promise to catch up. If Hiding in Public releases a new video next month, we'll cover it if it's about something I care about or care to watch. So this isn't like that. But what does he say about the ending here? Because I've had my own epiphany about the ending recently, about how it's not completely nihilistic, which seems obvious. And that is one of the conclusions he comes to, I remember, about how the feeling coming out of Devilman Crybaby can be that, like, oh, there's no hope, nothing mattered. I remember the conclusion. I actually really liked it, and it made me internalize a lot of things about Devilman. About how, like, one person can change the world and one action can change the world, and being good, even in the face of absolute failure, is still a good thing and can change people, because at the end, Akira's death makes Ryu feel something before he dies, and then God resets the world. But theoretically, Ryo is going to be reincarnated at some point, as, like, Satan always does, because the devil can't kill Satan or whatever. It's part of the Bible shit. And at some point, Ryu got all the memories that Satan had back. And at some point, whatever the next version of Satan will have, and he'll get all his memories back, and he'll remember Akira and sort of go about things differently, because even Satan's heart was moved by, like, the will of humanity. I remember that being sort of his concluding thought here about Devilman Crybaby, more specifically because anime, Lamau. I put my headphone in to try and listen, and maybe I can God, I do really like his fucking narration. I'm listening to it a little bit, but I really can't because I got to talk here because this isn't a stream and you can't hear it. But it's all about Akira's humanity being worth it, and sort of Akira is like the good of humanity personified, but he's also got a lot of problems because he's a devil man, and it's that sort of balance and him finding devil man at the end, like fellow devil man to help him out. And sort of like all the horror is like, because my whole thing is about it being the descriptive versus prescriptive thing. I want to explore this all in a big Devilman ending video I want to make myself. But I definitely should have taken notes on this. I guess all I can do is recommend you the video and for you to figure it out yourself by going and watching the point of Devilman Crybaby. I talked about the one point he brought up just now. Do the comments lead any insight? There's one comment here that's basically like, Akira dies, Ryo, maybe I don't want to be the bad guy anymore. That sort of is the point, and it's an interesting take, because I just thought, like, God ended the world, reset it, and then Ryu would just come back, and Akira would just come back, and that we would just repeat the cycle and over again. But that might not be the takeaway. Like, the takeaway could be next time is going to be different because of what we saw this time. Akira actually did win in the long run by being the epitome of what humanity is and showing Satan the love of humanity and things like that. And I do like that reading of the ending a lot. I feel like he spends a lot of this video, like I talked about last month, I think it was the last edition, with his Death Note video, where he spends a lot of the time establishing things. Like, I know he has like 1, 2, and 3, and he sort of goes through. I like how he sort of structures his videos, like establishing things to like build like premise, conclusion, or whatever. Which you don't have to do regarding art, but it does make the message a little bit easier to digest. At the back end here with the Craftsdwarf and Devilman video, we're starting to regret not taking notes. But if you haven't seen this video, if you don't know Hiding in Public, this is a big recommendation. That's what Digest is. It's a recommendation machine. Cool stuff. I would recommend this video. That's the best I can do here, because we didn't take notes. Silly Billy. So for certain videos, maybe next month, for certain videos we'll take notes, and for certain videos we won't. I'll just have to think about it. Do I have something to say about this video? I know I thought about that, and I was like, yeah, I can fucking wing what I have to say about this Hiding in Public video. But the whole discussion surrounding the ending of Devilman is very interesting to me, and I hope to explore it in my own video in the future. But moving on here, because I guess we run out of things to say, is a Polyphonic video, The True Meaning of Hotel California by Polyphonic, August the 20th, 2020. I originally planned on watching all of his Dark Side of the Moon videos, which the last part did come out this month, but again, I ran out of time. Polyphonic, we talked about Aflo Media. I think on the first one, we did the Liverpool video, the original video that got me claimed. I think it got blocked for a little while, and I had to cut a certain part of it out. Polyphonic is sort of the better of like the two YouTube analysis, music analysis people that I follow, if you don't count Fantano, because he doesn't really do video essays, he does reviews. Similarly, Polyphonic doesn't usually, again, I'm going to have to call him Polyphonic, which is weird, because I don't know what his actual name is, and I don't know if he even puts it out there. He's very impartial, just like the Afro Media dude. I always say Afro Media, though, it's Alpha or whatever it is. He's not very opinionated. He's usually not talking about how much he loves a song. He usually goes into the history of a song and sort of looking at the lyrics and the influences, things like that. A lot of the songs he looks at are older songs, and they usually have a very like cultural American bend, which means he finds himself talking about like Christianity a lot, which is interesting. I always find that a little interesting, and sort of how certain things influence the music, and sort of lyrical analysis I really like. I'm getting closer to liking poetry, and I don't like it. We came around on traditional art last month on Digest, and a little bit in the first month of Digest we did. I've always been into lyric analysis. We're a step away from poetry, boys, and I'm not liking it. Soon enough, it's going to be a poetry analysis channel, and I don't want to be there, but it's going to happen. Poetry is the one part of art I'm allowed to irrationally hate, alright? Leave me alone. But this video is like an editing fucking wonder. it's like incredibly edited. The way his videos usually are, he usually plays portions of the song, but to avoid copyright, he always has to do it in a unique way. So somehow he's either gotten a different recording of Hotel California. Everybody's heard this song, talking about the true meaning. The true meaning of Hotel California is that it has no meaning. And that's sort of the thesis statement of the video. But some of the comments were very mad about how actually you lied to us. You didn't tell us the true meaning, even though the true meaning is that there is no meaning, and like that's the point. And there's an interesting thing where it seems like the writer of the song, or one of the writers, one of the bandmates from the Eagles, like has a meaning that they think is the true meaning, but they refuse to say because they want everybody to make up their own opinions. But them sort of having a meaning that they think is true, like I can't tell you what this means to me because it would spoil the meaning or something. Because I know a lot of people, if the author tells them what it means, they'll just accept it. So we prefer to kill him, the author that is. But yeah, it's interesting, like lyrical analysis, what do the lyrics mean, especially of Hotel California, which is so open-ended. And I had such a weird, different version in my head to what he describes in the video, and sort of gives the context from the video of probably what like certain metaphors and shit are referencing, because it's about California and sort of the California history that goes into like him describing the smell in the song and what that comes from. Fucking Hotel California is a great song though. But the way I was talking about how he puts the music into his videos rather, the music from the song, the lyrics, because he plays snippets from songs and he doesn't get fucked somehow. And he does this by, I already started saying this before, so I'm repeating myself a little bit. He either gets like a different recording, or he's just isolated the vocals, because he doesn't play the instruments in the background. I don't know anything about music theory or shit, so I'm going to say instruments instead of like whatever the fuck the actual term is. And it's just the voice in like this with a lot of reverb and echoed throughout a room, and it actually sounds really good, and I like the way it sounds in the video. But he's got this like doorway like motif through his editing in this video that's really cool. I don't know if he edits it. It's a pretty popular channel. I wouldn't be surprised if he hires someone to edit it, and they edit it really well like this. But the way this like you have to look at this fucking video. It's fucking incredible. Guitar with some fucking weird things going over it. Then he's actually looking at music theory for a second, but he gets away from that shit real quick because he knows we don't give a fuck about that. Because he has timestamps, and now YouTube has implemented the timestamps on the progress bar thing. It's all like cut up into like 30-second snippets, and it's really cool. Like the different parts of his video: vagary, other interpretations, 1969, a clear meaning, cinematic lyricism. That was a cool concept. He talked about this in the video that I liked a lot. Music writing seems cool. Symbolism, the hotel, conclusion. It's all really cool. Just looking at the vision, like the video was cool enough. I don't know how people edit like this. Is it like it's a different type of editing to the Caribou-Kun video we talked about being masterfully edited at the beginning of the video, where he's sort of got a bunch of clips that he's like overlaying and playing and cutting between, and how he cuts between them and the effects over the cuts are really cool. Like this is just like, I think After Effects is what that program is called. It feels like everything was like animated in After Effects. It looks really cool, and the font on the text and shit like that, and sort of how the images pop up, and it's really cool. And it's like the color highlighting. I have no idea how somebody makes videos like this. And the lyrics popping up as they're sung and shit. It's cool. And all the quotes he's got, and the door motif, it's really cool. I'm looking at it now. But you gotta check this video out. Polyphonic, I think, is like the premier YouTube analysis, music analysis bloke. I like a bunch of his older videos too, so if you don't know who this is, if you haven't dived into the weird YouTube sphere of musical analysis, I highly recommend it. I watched like 3 of the Dark Side of the Moon. I've seen all of his Pink Floyd stuff since I'm a big Pink Floyd fan. I think I saw In Defense of Meg White. That's a cool video. I've watched, I think, one of his Bob Dylan videos because I'm interested. Again, a lot of it's really old stuff that I like exploring. He's got some newer ones: how Kendrick Lamar shaped the 2010s, how Beyonce shaped the 2010s, how Taylor Swift shaped the 2010s, how Kanye How David Bowie all shaped the 2010s. I'm trying to scroll down here and see the other ones. There was a Vietnam War one, where he talked about like the musical, like what music was influenced by the war and sort of the protest music and the other types of music coming out of that. That was really good. His video on American Pie is really good. That got me into that song like 3 years ago. That was really cool. The Jesus Christ Superstar video he did is awesome too. Sort of talking about that musical that I've never actually seen again. It's a two-part of the Vietnam War thing. I remember because his videos I've been watching his videos for a while and it doesn't feel like it, because I remember every Friday he'd come out with a video and I watched them on the way to school. I've been out of school for 2 fucking years. So I'm scrolling, I've got to scroll down quite far to look at the videos that I've seen. I think I watched his American Idiot video, a bunch of his old Pink Floyd videos. He has a Freddie Mercury video, I remember. But yeah, cool stuff. Polyphonic is definitely a channel everybody should be subscribed to. The writing is pretty great. The narration I really like, even though it's a weird type of narration. The editing is really good. I like the way his voice sounds. He's doing something cool to his voice, like an effect that makes it sound really good. So that's my polyphonic recommendation. Specifically about that Hotel California video, but there's other ones as well. Hopefully I'll watch the Dark Side of the Moon stuff this month, and then I'll probably talk about it in corroboration with a new video he comes out with, because I think he still does weekly content. So and they seem to be remarkably fucking well done for being weekly content. So I'm sure he probably has a team or something. But yeah, probably next month expect more Polyphonic. It's definitely a channel everybody should watch. It's like a staple. It's like one of the essentials. But now for our final catch-up video before we move into the musical edits period, we're doing a LEMMiNO video. Very popular YouTuber who does, I would hesitate to call him conspiracy theory videos. I think everybody's seen LEMMiNO. He used to do a bunch of top 10s back in the day, but now he does a bunch of mystery videos, more like it, like the search for DB Cooper, the lost colony of the vanishing of flight 370, the cicada internet mystery one, the Great Silence. Just really cool. His top 10s were really good too back in the day. Before that, he used to do like meme stuff. The Universal S is a video he made. The Battle of Los Angeles is cool too. The last top 10 facts he did was music. But then he sort of got out of doing the top 10 facts thing. He started doing weird, like, basically he does a lot of research into a certain topic. He really likes UFOs and aliens and shit like that. Not really aliens, like UFO sightings. But it doesn't seem like too conspiratorial or stupid like that. It's actually like, this is an actual fucking video of that the Pentagon has said they can't explain what's going on here. Let's look at it. It's never like, well, now the aliens exist and their fucking agenda is to kill the white race or something fucking weird and alt-right like that. It's actually just like, I like to think it's well informed and not too supernatural is not the word I think, like superfluous. I don't know if that's the word I'm looking for either. It's not too up its own ass and like, whoa, let's find out what really happened. He usually never comes to conclusions. He usually says like, these are like the most likely things. For a while he was doing these type of videos as well as top 10 facts ones. I remember he did top 10 Attack on Titan facts. I think that might have been the first video I watched of his in like 2014. Scrolling down to see if this one's privated. No. Top 10 facts Attack on Titan. Top 10 facts The Ocean. Top 10 facts South Park. Top 10 facts Dragon Ball. Now these videos were actually unironically good. They were actually interesting facts. As they like progressed, he got a lot better. Like the space ones particularly are really good. It's just cool, like weird space phenomenon that you didn't know. But I think it all started with like this this Russian pass case thing that he did. I remember watching that. It says 4 years ago. Weird nostalgia for some of these channels we're talking about here, about me like getting ready for school and watching some of these videos on my phone. But the video we came out with that was specifically talking about to just establish that we're going to be talking about LEMMiNO videos, and when he comes out with a new one, probably like next month hopefully, we'll cover it. since we've changed we're not only just doing art anymore. It's basically, this is part of that. Since this video came out 2 months ago, and he seems to average like every 4 months of videos, so maybe we gotta wait another month, because the DB Cooper one was 4 months before that, and then this Colony one was 4 months before that. It's usually mystery more than conspiracy theory. I like that descriptor way better. He's also got progress graph things. So this one is specifically about 3 instances, or it's 2, right? It's 2 instances of UFO sightings, but 2 of the videos are from one instance of sort of these, it seems like a similar type of phenomenon in the air. Now, I don't know, I probably would lean towards the fact that it's explainable some other way. He never brings up aliens at all in this video, which is very good, a UFO video that's actually about unexplained flying objects. Or the new term, and sort of how the Pentagon is sort of against even like its own department investigating this because they just get laughed off and cool things like that. Come into this not necessarily expecting like the most based fucking true content you've ever seen in your life. I don't think I need to sell LEMMiNO videos. He's incredibly good. Again, it sort of reminds me of Polyphonic, as we were just talking, like the way his videos are edited, whereas like the Shaybs video is really well edited, like clips together. It feels like there's a lot of after effects and actual creating of animation here. Like the way he animates like the articles, like he has a New York Times article, I'm looking at it, 1 minute and 33 seconds in. And it's just like, it's cool, it's like angled, it's like a 3D object moving in the space to create like the cool video look. It's got the text there, the aesthetic is all really cool in black and white for the video. The cool maps he does when he's doing map stuff, because he's done it for like 2 like plane stuff now, as in flying planes, not plane as in fucking plain sugar or whatever. It's just really cool. I don't know if I need to sell LEMMiNO videos. Just, this is basically me establishing that next time he comes out with a video, we're going to cover it. I don't really know. I don't really have my own fucking conclusions here. Again, this isn't art. What is this? Why you get spooked from fourth wall breaks? Daryl Talks Games. What is this channel over here? I shouldn't be browsing this on YouTube. This seems like it was like a cool moniker thumbnail. Seems like a popular channel that I am not in any way known of, though it's only got 200,000 subscribers, so I can't be that far behind. But maybe we'll check that. Look, we found a channel in real time. I'll check that out later. But for LEMMiNO, cool video. As always, interesting, fun, little spooky. I would hesitate to call these documentaries because I don't even really know what that means, but just like a video about what's going on and sort of the current hypotheses of what the different explanations for these things could be, sort of the general explanations and the counters to those and the different things. It's an exploration of this issue, these 2 similar encounters with unidentified flying objects. And again, there's not like an agenda in the videos. It's not like he comes to a conclusion and then the fucking aliens were real and they're hiding in plain sight, bro. Your mother's an alien. Watch the fuck out. Again, I don't think he talks about aliens once in this video, so I like that. Don't shoe on the alien weird shit, though he has talked about aliens in videos before. Never again. He's sort of impartial as a. He also has an accent from some European country. And again, the narration's really cool. Again, the presentation of the video is fucking top notch. The editing, the scripting is cool, and it's not like the best writing or anything. It's just like cool, to the point, well delivered. Dialogue. So yeah, I don't know. Again, LEMMiNO. You've all fucking watched his videos. We're just establishing here that there's some of you that have never seen any of his videos that are hearing about him for the first time here. I know there's at least one of you. And you got a fucking lot of videos. You got a fun evening planned out where you can just watch his videos for the rest of the night. But there we go. We'll talk about him when he uploads a new video. And I've come to the conclusion that for catch-up videos, we might have to take some notes. Whereas the contemporary ones, we can sort of go off the cuff. And it seems to have been successful, as we're 2 hours exactly into this recording session. So that means Digest is about 3.5 hours long right now. And we're coming down to the end, because that's the end of the catch-up section. We're moving on to the musical edit section now. And we've got 2 channels here to highlight. We've got Puru Wave Puro Wave, like pro-resu, as in pro wrestling in Japanese. That's how you say, I'm a native Japan. So I know these things. So Puro Wave, and we've also got, what's the second one called? It has a bunch of live action edits. The musical edits section, nobody's helped me out. Nobody's sent me any cool musical edits, even though I asked about them. I want Digest to be more like the community around Digest to be more involved. So if you have videos for me, I don't know, you can recommend them in the YouTube comments below. You can tweet them at me with an actual link. That would be preferable. Whether it be musical edits, like these cool musical edits I really fucking like. The other channel is HJM Edits, which they have done a bunch of things about a bunch of different things that we'll talk about after the Puro edits thing. I'm probably showing them all on screen right now. But yeah, so we'll go through the Puro Wave edits, the wrestling fucking music videos, and we'll go through The Last of Us 2, Come As You Are, obviously the Nirvana song, though it is a cover that's in the video, from July the 5th, 2020, Harry Potter Sandman, from August the 30th, 2019, and Marvel Clinton Natasha, that's fucking Black Widow's name, right? Let Me Go, from August the 2nd, 2019. But let's start with the Puro Wave ones. Also, I was in the middle of shilling. Fucking send me videos, you lazy pricks. What do you expect me to do this all by myself? I want insight. Like, I don't know why I didn't know about. I think I knew about Puro Wave beforehand, but about this fucking HJM edits thing, why didn't I know about this beforehand? That's your responsibility to let me know what I'm missing out on. In different videos. When somebody comes out with a new video, you can send me a tweet and say, did you fucking see that goddamn Caribou-Kun has a new video out? Are you gonna cover it on Digest? And I'll go, I sure will, son, and I'll fucking tussle your hair, right? And you worker kids, you fucking child labor for me right now. Tell me shit, get involved in the process, recommend me videos. But Puro Wave is these cool, whatever vaporwave is the aesthetic that it's copying, and the weird vaporwave songs. The way the videos are titled or in these cool fonts that I'm sure you're probably seeing on screen now. It's really cool. I watched nearly all of these 4 days ago. I'd seen some of these in the past. I can't remember which ones though. Because of Walking the King's Road, the wrestling series we talked about earlier, I know a bunch of the names. Like I could watch Kawada Wave and Misawa Wave and Kawada and Kabashi Wave and like be into it and know what's going on. I didn't just have to watch the contemporary ones like the Suzuki Wave, Naito Wave, the Nakamura Wave, Liger Wave. Wave is like the fucking, because it's fucking vaporwave. You understand. The Inoki one. I'll point out these are just cool. Like these are really good. I think I actually took notes on these, so I guess I'll read that. Short wrestling musical edits about Japanese pro wrestling. Yeah, it's not about fucking none of this fucking white boy bullshit. Basically, highlight package music videos that weirdly wholly encapsulate the wrestler's persona and career highlights. A lot of them end sad with the wrestler either retiring from illness, or in some cases their memorial shows where they've deaded. That's sad. The Misawa, Jumbo, and Hana ones particularly stand out for that. True, Hana Kimura, the girl that I talked about on stream earlier this year who killed herself. Misawa, who died in the ring because of the wear and tear on his body. And Jumbo Tsuruta, who got sick and had to retire and then died later in like 1999. Those sad endings there. Like it ends. The Misawa one ends with his retirement show, with his like memorial show and like the flowers and shit around him and all the wrestlers crying, and all that shit. That's particularly sad. So let's move on. Calling Mayumi Toyota the 5-star queen is fucking incredible. There's a Mayumi Toyota one, who's like the most famous Japanese women's pro wrestler of all time. I don't think her like nickname was actually the 5-star queen. I actually have seen some Mayumi Toyota matches, more than I've seen Misawa matches. I think I watched 2 whole Mayumi Toyota matches. One in the Tokyo Dome against Aja Kong, I think. That was really good. She's really good. But she got like all the stars from Dave Meltzer, so I don't know if that's like a Western thing or if that was actually her name in her promotion, the 5-star queen. I don't imagine it was. But like that as her name, like calling her that is that's sick. The 5-star queen. I also just watched the Joshi one. It's all about the beginnings of women pro wrestling in Japan. Which other ones do I watch that were really good? The Omega Wave one, don't really remember much about that one. I'm sure it was cool. The Suzuki one was really cool. Playing the DBZ music for him was great. Suzuki Miller is the one dude that bowed in the Super Eyepatch Wolf video you liked. And then he's got DBZ music and his Puru Wave. You should probably check it out. The Misao one, again, ends sadly. The Jumbo Saruta one ends sadly, but they're both probably two of the best ones because of it. The Miami Toyota one's really good. I feel like the Okada one might have been my favorite. And I'm not that big of a fan of Okada. You'd think I'd like the Naito one. And the Naito one was pretty good. But the Okada one was really good. I don't remember particularly what I liked about it, though, since I watched all of these in, like, one sitting. I really like the Three Musketeers one. The one for Hashimoto, Chono, and Muda. The Lagway one, I remember being actually a little disappointing. I don't know. The King of Strong Style one was really good for Nakamura. The Inoki one, the most recent one that came out 4 weeks ago, was really good too. Playing his music and the fight part and everybody chanting fight is really cool. It'll always be cool. The Shibata one was really fucking good. Same with Dangerous K Kawada one. That one was cool too. Putting him beating Misawa in the highlight thing and the crowd going fucking ecstatic is great. And obviously the sad part about Shibata having to retire because he fucked his head up. And showing the spot in which he did it in the match in which he did it against Okada. Ooh, it's some cool shit. All of this is great. The Golden Lovers one, if you're into that, I'm sure you'll like that one. Cool stuff all around. If you're into Japanese wrestling at all, you've seen these. You have to have seen these. They're so good. If you're not, I don't know. It's still pretty cool. The King of Sports, the New Japan Wave one was pretty cool too. It's all cool. They're all great. You should watch them all. I didn't entirely watch them all, but I will probably eventually. And as more come out, we'll talk about them in the musical edits section of the digest, because I love them. So all these ones are fucking great. I love them all. The Peru Wave ones. Cool little musical edits with wrestling highlights in between. Is there anything else you could love more? Does YouTube still have all of the wrestling highlights videos on there? The music videos, but like about the particular matches? Like fucking, I don't know, what was an old one? Jericho versus somebody from some pay-per-view to this theme of some over-the-top dramatic fucking metal song. Those used to be the shit when I was fucking 11 years old, back in like 2012. Watching a shit ton of them every night about matches I hadn't seen or couldn't afford like the pay-per-view DVDs for, and just getting them in the fucking... That was some cool fucking shit. I wonder if those still exist. I should look into that after I hang up the boots here tonight. And because we're at the end of the digest recording session. And then we've got these edits. We've got the Last of Us 2 edit, this Harry Potter Sandman one and this Clint Natasha one. I actually really like all of these. I'm not really that attached to the Avengers at all, but even this, like, the highlight of Black Widow and Hawkeye was actually pretty sweet, bro. These are really well edited. They're just really, again, they're really dramatic fucking re-edits of like movie moments and shit like that. That's the point of this musical section. It's super dramatic shit that is timed to a song that's really over dramatic and playing all the moments between two characters, and sort of re-emphasizing everything that means, hitting on their high emotional beats, timing the song to it to emphasize the fucking emotional weight behind it. It's all really well edited, so that helps. This dude has like 53,000 subscribers. This channel somehow hasn't gotten taken down. This fucking Avengers one has nearly 600,000 views. Real big boy shit here. But yeah, it's really cool. I don't know what else to say. Edited it. It all like builds up to them trying to fight to see who dies. That I forget. I think that's from Endgame, right? Not Infinity War. I feel like I have to go back and watch those movies and try to figure out what. Like, I feel like I've forgotten a lot of that stuff. Like Black Widow was like dead, and then there's a Black Widow movie that came out after it, set in the past or something. Scarlett Johansson finally got her fucking her solo movie after her character died, which is kind of weird. But yeah, that one's cool. So it's called Let Me Go. I can't remember what the song is entirely, but it's cool and it's dramatic and it'll make you remember and feel something about that shit. It's really good. Now the Enter Sandman, not the Metallica song, but the creepy old Sandman song, like Bring Me a Dream or whatever the fuck to this Harry Potter thing here is really cool. It's all about sort of like spoiled love. Like there's a lot of Snape and Lily stuff. It's about all the different relationships in the fucking Harry Potter shit. We've been jerking off Harry Potter for like 6 months straight on stream and shit like that, talking about how fun it is all the time. And it's continuing here. We're doing the jerk off Harry Potter stuff. There's a lot of, now we're highlighting all the deaths. Very emotional. These are like fun, like encapsulations of, man, isn't Harry Potter cool? Remember Harry Potter, and then you watch this 3-minute music video where it's all over dramatic and the emotional beats hit. There's a big moment. They build up to fucking Snape saying always, and then Lily saying always as well. And it's big and it's dramatic, and you'll get the goosebumps, and you'll feel good and sad, and it'll be fun, melancholy. For the 3 minutes and 22 seconds it lasts. And if you're into any of these things, you should watch all of these. Now, lastly, we got a Last of Us 2 one, alright? So that's our key shit. This Come As You Are one is really good. This is the one that I like the song as the most, obviously the Nirvana song. But it's like it's a cover, and it's like a more sad cover. And it's like, especially at the beginning, like 13 seconds in, like they're showing Abby beating the shit out of Joel's like carcass. And like Come As You Are starts playing, and that line particularly is said, and it's like really, it's like, ooh, we got the chills. I remember because I was watching these all before I recorded the first part of Digest, which I recorded a few days ago, and it was like one of the, like these musical edits were like the last thing I had to watch. And I was like lying up in my bed being like, oh, I got like 3 more videos to watch. We can get through this. But I go down, I sit at my computer to watch these videos because, you know, we're fucking professionals out here, not some fucking slobs. But I was like, fuck it, I don't want to get up. Let me just watch them on my phone here. And I got up to this part in this fucking AMV where he says, Come As You Are, and Joel's getting the shit beaten out of him, and I started to get chills, and I'm like, all right, no, we got to go and fucking sit down for this shit. I don't want to just lie here and watch this on my phone. I'm going to put this in 4K on my fucking computer and watch this. And it was worth it. It's, again, it's the formula. Over dramatic, hitting on all the big emotional beats of the story, time to a song that makes it even more dramatic. And it's cool as fuck. AMVs, we're bringing them back through this musical edit thing. It's sick as fuck. I love this shit. I want more. I want you to recommend more. I want you to recommend me your favorites, even if they are just AMVs or whatever. Wrestling time to music, something time to music, edited in a big way. Preferably of something I've seen. I don't really want to watch something I haven't seen because then I just won't get the emotional beats and the emotional highs from it that I get from these ones. Which I like doing a lot. So those are that's the musical edits playlist. Last week we had a bunch of different stuff. This week we just had this. I keep saying week. This month, I just had the 2 different channels here. So we'll keep tabs on both of these channels and see what they do, as well as all the channels we've covered in the past. I don't think Shaybs uploaded any AMVs this month. Or if he did, I fucking missed him. But the Gunbuster one from last month, we talked about that One Piece one that makes me cry all the time last time. The Cafeteria NakeyJakey song that we talked about earlier when we talked about the NakeyJakey video, we covered that. And there was one more that I'm forgetting, but fuck it. I'm going to spend too long thinking about what that was without just looking it up. But fuck it. That's the end of the musical edit section. That's it. The end of fucking Digest. Short and sweet, as in nearly 4 hours, I think. This will be the shortest Digest ever. We'll see how we like the formula. I think we were doing really well for a lot of it. Until like the end there where I didn't really know what to say about the fucking hiding in public Devilman video because I couldn't remember it. That was sort of embarrassing. We'll see. We'll see how the reception is. Leave a comment if you made it this far. Please leave a comment telling me what works better or worse from the old digests and this digest here. The name change, what we think about all the things we talked about in the intro. If we like this version better, was this your favorite digest episode? Was the last month's or the month before better? What were the positive or difference? Should we go more in depth in certain videos? Did you like that from the previous months? Or do you like this one more briefly and just going through a bunch of videos saying, watch this video, watch this video. Isn't this video cool? I like it because it incentivizes me to watch YouTube videos, which I would never do if I wasn't getting something out of it. And hopefully this fucking month will get monetized because it won't be fucking claimed because we're not putting the videos in this video. But that's all good. But I'm fucking tired. I'm sure you're tired of listening to me. Hopefully we'll be back next month. Check out some of my scripted videos. Attack on Titan chapter review might be out already. Might be coming out soon. Hopefully there's like a berserk video that comes out either the day after this or the day before this. Who knows what's going to happen. Look forward. I hope to increase output this month with actual scripted content. I hope, and we're hoping for a lot of things. We're smoking the hopium. Hopefully Joe Biden wins. I don't know. The election's still not decided yet. Queensland won Game 1 of the State of Origin. Well, rambling. I'm trying to do my sign-off here, so remember to leave those comments. But with that being said, support links in the description below. Thanks.